And welcome. I am the Last Hit Point Hero, and you have found your way to TPK Roleplay. Sorry about the brief overlap. Basilisk is playing havoc with our tech. We know they are. It's their fault. Their series may be over for now, but the trouble, it has only just begun. Over the course of this session and the next, we shall be wrapping up our story of Stargate Phoenix and Basilisk and see where these two teams have gone, what they have done, and what remains behind them. First and foremost, this actual play stream contains adult language and themes along with violence. Additionally, for those unfamiliar with the Stargate SG-1 IP, the primary antagonists are a snake-like creature that burrows into your brain, enslaves your body, and pretends to be your god. So those are the bad guys. So do keep that in mind. Fortunately, Stargate Phoenix is here to fight the good fight. Safety tools are in place for the players, but you as a viewer not have such a luxury, so if you get uncomfortable, feel free to gate away and come back after a few and things have calmed down a bit. Barring that, kick back, relax, keep all heads, hands, zats, and cats inside the stream at all times. Slap that follow button to join the wonderful world of TPK Roleplay. Click the Discord link that I am certain will spontaneously appear in chat at any moment, and above all else, be good. That's the rule. Be good. Before getting any further, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves and the characters that we will be playing this evening, along with just a little bit of roleplay warm-up, the question of the evening, which happens to be, is your character more likely to look to the past for answers, or do they prefer more new thoughts outside of the box, forward thinking type of approach? That's the question. That is for you to consider. Do you look backwards, look forwards? How do you answer those hard questions? Well, let's think about that as we begin our introductions in the top center of your screen. Pate of roasted groundnuts paired with seasonal summer berry coulis served on an artisanal brioche of refined flour. It's Osara X Franco.
Hi. I liked those words in that order. That was delightful. I would have said I was a grilled cheese sandwich, but yours is much better. I play Gary Bradford, the engineer, and I would say that Gary typically has a very forward-thinking mindset. The problems of tomorrow require ideas of tomorrow, though it's very important to remember the things that came before us, because they often have the simplest solutions. It's just about putting them together in fun new ways.
Combining those old and new and to see what develops. I can see it. I can see it. Continuing around the highest pressure. In the top right corner of your screen. Let me think. A croque monsieur of Colt Bach Guerrier and Homon Iberica, served closed-faced on sliced baguette, toasted au pois. It's proper nerdy.
Bonjour. My name is Proper Nerdy. I'm a TPK staff member, roleplay, game master, and designer. But tonight I am playing Altan Troy, the medic. He, I think, struggles a little bit with trying to think ahead, because he is relying on his symbiote to help him get through his from day to day and connect with the threats in his day-to-day life. And so between his constant research brain and that, he kind of struggles he overthinks things that he has seen before instead of thinking forward.
Makes sense. There's a lot of history when you've got a symbiote in your brain and a lot that's remembered. So there is a lot to build on. I can definitely see that. Continuing down and around in the bottom right corner, I've got it. slow simmered white vandalias in a grass fed organic bone broth topped by thin sliced der Schof Max and cubed Ruskrut. It's Kaya.
I have no idea what any of those things were, but you spoke as if they sounded delicious, so I'll take it as a compliment. Hi, I'm Kaya. I am playing Second Lieutenant Sazu Song, who is a rather over her head linguist joining this expedition. And I think that she looks for solutions from the ancient past or from the future, but not from her own immediate past. So there you have it.
Mysterious and vague, but fantastic. Continuing around in the bottom center of your screen, of course, tagliatelle prepared al dente al ragu alla bolognese with a penne al aglio crostini served with a smear of Mediterranean herb butter. It's Meg Mysteria.
I recognize most of those, and it's a lot of carbs, so I'm happy about it. Hey everybody, I am Meg Mysterian, and I am playing Captain Tomi White. And as far as how he handles problem solving in regards to looking at the future or the past, it would be a bit of a struggle because he would try to think more forwardly and more progressively, considering we are stepping into a boundless world of the unknown. But you also can't move forward without learning from the mistakes of your past. So there's a practicality there. You have to remember where you came from and what your history is in order to keep from making the same mistakes.
Healthy balance is a very good thing. Always an intelligent way to approach a problem. As for me, I am the last hit point hero, and for those keeping track, that was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on white bread, a hot ham and cheese sandwich, French onion soup, and because you would never put bolognese on spaghetti, it is wide flat noodle instead of a thin noodle spaghetti bolognese sauce with garlic bread. So
I was real close with the grilled cheese. That makes me real happy.
I know. So
real happy.
I tried to do grilled cheese, but I had to add hot ham and cheese because jamón ibérico is
It's
beautiful.
very good. It's very, and honestly, PB&J's for life. So
Yeah,
I'm satisfied.
there we go. Yeah. Perfect. Yes, we are going to be exploring a new planet today and what might be found on the other side. And as has been the case the last couple gates, Phoenix is the second one through. We've done our briefing off screen this evening and sent all the information to them. But before we get everyone there, we should probably take a look at where we have been this season so far to catch everyone up to speed. So just a slightly longer previously on to, to set the stage for the night. Sarah X.
Previously on Stargate Phoenix.
Basilisk, secretive organization, hell bent on the destruction of the gold at any means necessary.
So there are allies?
You know, I wasn't really sure about this before, but it feels a little strange. It feels like, I think we're all going to get along very well, and,
Yay, tall. Had a hunting knife.
Yes. Yeah.
Would have gone by the name Uran.
I don't think we got any of their names.
Yeah.
They just kind of walked in like they owned the place, and we really didn't know what to do. The very first President Ishker told us all that Well, she said she would do her best to keep this train going no matter what. Said, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And 500 years later, here we are, chugging along. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's still a first encounter in a lot of ways.
Hell,
Or you could just roll a
yes.
natural 20.
Or I could just crit, baby.
As planned
I'm
in the...
Shanghai. I'm in the playing cards.
I mean, I suppose I can be the last president of the Ishkar line.
And the first president of, well, whatever's out there.
I couldn't get closer to the top. I thought if I had more time, I might be able to figure out who's running the thing. See behind the screen a little bit, but they play it real close to the chest there, General. I think this might be more of a threat than we realize. He said that if I opposed them, specifically him, that there was no place, no world, no galaxy, no universe that I or any of... Well, he didn't really have nice things to call you. Can run to where we'll not be hunted down and removed from existence.
I'm going to turn to Trudy and ask if she knows what that symbol means.
I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, we sure have.
Song, go ahead and give me a culture check. As you take a look at it, you are the translator.
21.
21. It is a mixture of cuneiform and Gua'uld. You take a look at it, and it takes a little bit to translate because it's so very old. And beneath that symbol are the words, "Keep the faith. Ara will return." One little kid next to it that sees you going by, and his eyes are just huge.
As it happens, Gary looks at him and goes, as she like moves past the windows, she just pulls in a horrible face at him. Oh, you are still muted.
I think that takes us up to speed for the evening. As for tonight, the team is already prepped and briefed and find themselves stepping out of the Stargate into a very active archaeological dig. You look around, and there are men and women in flowing white clothes. They have their heads wrapped and faces wrapped, and they are digging and hacking away at this jungle landscape. As is typical, the Stargate is set into almost a temple of sorts, for lack of a better description. It is a... kind of the ruins are being exposed, and each layer of dirt and jungle is being peeled away. There is, not too far away, a tent where a rather strong woman is standing and giving orders. She's pointing direction. You can see groups of messengers going out. You turn around and see a pathway not too far away that has two armed guards next to it. They have these short rifles with cranks on the side. There is a river in front of you just past the archaeological dig. And as you kind of take a moment to take in the scene, Ningal, the one in charge that you know is part of the briefing underneath the tent, notices your arrival and raises a hand your way. The dig site is yours.
All right,
I suppose,
go ahead.
I suppose some first things first, we end up approaching, say her name was Nagal?
Yes. You make your way up. Ningal in the briefing, she is the leader of the Bedu, at least this group of Bedu, and she has been coordinating with Phoenix 1 and the Phoenix site in general, trying to get some help with the excavations. They are trying to get just as much information as they can. For their entire existence, they have um, refuted the myths of their past, and recently, it seems some of the Genesi myths have been fulfilled. The Genesi have been celebrating a great victory. The Bedu witnessed a group leave with a mysterious woman in tow, along with a number of Genesi. And most notably, just yesterday, someone who calls himself the messenger arrived, and things have started to go south. You get up to the tent. Ningal greets you. Says, yes, you must be the new team. I'm Ningal. You are Phoenix 4, I believe.
That is correct. I am Captain Gary Bradford. I'm an engineer. And if you have things that need fixing, great. In the meantime, I'm gonna turn it on over here to Second Lieutenant Song for the good talkies.
Okay.
Yeah. Sazu Song was like hanging back near the back of the group before, but she is going to step up with, she's got like her notebook and a pen out already. And she says, hi, Ningal, very, very pleased to meet you. We heard that there was a lot of activity recently.
Yes, well, in general, the dig has been going well. Not running into any problems, anything unexpected. But, well, we had a visitor the other day that quite frankly, we took him into custody for everyone's well being. And it didn't help that he raised his hands above his head, declared that we were all going to choke, have the sun blotted from our sight, and die, or something like that. Just as, and she points in the distance toward a volcano, and a thin wisp of black smoke comes up, just as that started to happen. Now, the Bedu, we are not a superstitious people, but, well, a lot has gone on in the past couple of weeks, and, well, we're much more open-minded about such things than we were before. It's been, quite frankly, it's been hard to deal with for a lot of us.
A magnanimous
Where is he now?
dispensation.
She points to the path that has 2 guards on it. With the yelling and the raving, we thought it best to separate him from the dig site. He's in a prison tent that direction, not too far.
Is there anything else that has been going on around here that you might like our help with?
Well, there are a number of options. Here at the ziggurat, she kind of points at this paper that's laid out in front of her. It's a topographical map of the area. She said, well, we're right here, and a lot of our initial probings, we suspect that there's a ziggurat of sorts right here on the beach. It must be part of the compound that the Stargate is what I think Phoenix 1 said is called. The Stargate is kind of built into the side of... we've been trying to find an entrance. Some of the tools that Phoenix 1 left have indicated that, yes, there's an entrance somewhere, but we haven't found that yet, so we'd like to find a way in here. And then she points upriver, about a half day's travel. She says, over here, there is a part of the mountain where the river flows beneath the mountain, and beneath there is a temple set into the center of the river. That was the last known location of, well, I guess they call themselves Basilisk. Again, Phoenix 1 filled us in on a lot of information. They weren't a very talkative group. I don't know if you've run into them. They kind of just walk in and do, don't they? Well, anyway, we heard that they were there, and the Genesi, well, that's the only place the Genesi are still going to worship and celebrate whatever has happened. So we'd really like some more information from the River Temple. And then there's that problem, as she points to the volcano. It's about 3 days travel, but, well, we don't know what to make of it yet.
Well, Gary, can Can I call you Gary?
I would much prefer that you do that,
Okay,
Lieutenant Song. That would be my preference.
Gary, do you think, I mean, I don't know how objectively important each of these things are, but some of them seem a lot closer to us than others.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to just tackle them one at a time? Or
Uh,
should we split up, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Ningal, was it, there was a group that came in through the gate before us, not Phoenix One, a different group.
Basilisk?
Yes, Basilisk. My understanding is you were saying they took some stuff and folks back through the gate with them, yes?
Yes, they did. We have scouts all around here. That's, well, when they came through the gate, I was here. We were in the middle of combat with, again, Phoenix One was very helpful filling in some of these names. They were called Jaffa from Wepawet. I don't know what those words mean, but we were in the middle of a fight with them when, well, this group that we'd come to learn was Basilisk came in and, quite frankly, started killing Jaffa like crazy. They went with the Genasi north upriver, and two of them, a Rousseau and the other, I can't remember the other's name, I'm sorry. They stayed here, and we then took them north later to the temple so the group could be together.
So they didn't head to that volcano, black smoke of Tower of Doom you've got going on over there?
No, they didn't go anywhere near that.
It's possible, that if there was something that was altered or changed, that over there is a down effect. We could maybe throw up like a weather balloon or something to get readings on that. But I would suggest, Lieutenant Song, that we investigate the temples. Potentially the ones that Basilisk took such an interest in, though at this point, it's really just to determine what they took.
Well, I do know the Genesi were celebrating the rise of their queen, and there was a woman that went back through the gate with Basilisk.
A woman that didn't come through with them.
Correct, yes.
A local?
Watched from a distance. She was not dressed as a Genesi.
This wouldn't be the first time that Basilisk took somebody of local importance back with them.
But if she wasn't dressed like a Genesi and the Bedu don't know her, then what are the chances that there was a sarcophagus in that temple?
Yeah, I think we need to go. There. Try to determine what was taken from there. If there's White's commentary, if there's a sarcophagus that is now unoccupado, as it were, that might be worth knowing. But I do think these Genesi folks, I don't typically go in for religious observations, but we might want to talk to them after. Let's figure out what was taken and try to figure out the chain of events. But I don't know. Are you comfortable with that?
I think we should at least talk to the prisoner.
All right.
While we're here.
Okay.
And start talking with the prisoner, and one of us will throw up a plane or something and see if we can get any readings on that volcano.
Sounds good. What do you think there, Big AT?
Sounds good to me. I would love to get some readings on the volcanic activity in the area.
All right, if you want to take a gander at that, Lieutenant, I wouldn't mind going along with you to talk to the prisoner. It's been a while since I had just a good laugh.
A laugh?
Yeah. You don't think he's gonna say something crazy like death to all of us Just no. Sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, from my experience, he's going to say a lot of things that we don't understand yet and will turn out in a few days to be very important.
Probably, but in those couple days, maybe it'll just be absurd, you know?
So you think he's just a crazy cultist?
I don't know. But oftentimes when people ramble, they just say really, really good stuff, you know?
Just remember that the report did mention glowing eyes.
Oh, I missed that part. Like glowing Goa'uld eyes, or just like he's got something about him.
Glowing eyes and speaks with an echoing voice, so
Well, that just got infinitely less interesting. We just got some Goa'uld bullshit. Well, let's
seems
go
like
take
the
a
host
gander.
still has seems like the host still has some faculty, though, if they're switching back and forth.
Yeah. I think we should
Has he
take
been
it. Oh, go for it.
has he been hostile at all with any of your men, Ningal?
Not particularly hostile. The eyes, they do glow sometimes, but then they start to flicker. And when they start flickering and the glow goes away, it reverts to just kind of proselytizing and raving. So the glowing-eyed one is more reasonable, but, well, the other not so much.
And when he said that the sky would be blotted out and so on and so forth, was that when his eyes were not glowing?
Yeah, his eyes, they were normal. That's part of the spiel, I guess. I don't know if it's a tactic or what, but no, it's not the one with the boomy, echoey voice either. It's just the other. Dr. Troy, your symbiote kind of fills in a few bits of information that may be helpful for this. It's incredibly, incredibly rare that a Goa'uld would lose control of the host. It is a total subservience of one consciousness to the Goa'ulds. But theoretically, if a Goa'uld were old enough, lacked resources to regenerate or heal the host body, and, well, didn't switch hosts in time, the Goa'uld might be too old and frail to leave the host, and yet also too old and frail to keep control.
Gotcha.
So,
And Altan shares that with the group kind of mechanically as it comes to him.
so
Alright.
your help in any of these places it'd be fantastic.
Sounds like we're gonna get a reading on when that thing's gonna go tick tick boom, and we're gonna talk to your messenger of doom as well, and then we'll head on upriver to the temple.
Zakum. He calls himself Zakum. It means messenger.
Well, that's rather convenient. Thank you. Lieutenant Song, at your lead.
Do I have to lead?
Uh,
I can lead. Yeah.
Great. You're doing great. AT-AT, White, you got volcanic readings?
Yes, sir.
Got him.
Right on.
Sounds good.
And so we split ways.
We split ways, but not too far. It is a 3-day walk to the volcano, but you were planning on, I think, a different kind of surveillance. So why don't we start with the volcano crew? What is the plan to work with volcano?
I think I'm going to be taking just general readings, like seismic readings and atmospheric readings. Obviously, since I can't access the volcano, and going to wouldn't really help much anyway. So I think it's putting together the kind of fluctuations in the earth and the amount of soot and magma that's kind of come out, and whatever other information I can get from villagers or local folk about what's been happening, just to kind of gauge how far this crock pot has been cooking.
Okay. So you're able to send through, get some more supplies back from the Phoenix base, seismograph perhaps to get some of those readings. And did you want to launch a UAV to get an aerial view as well? I think I heard that
very
as
good
part of the
idea.
plan.
I was going
Yes.
to suggest.
Yep. So you can have a UAV, a laptop, and those sorts of things. So why don't you go ahead and give me a science check with advantage, since the two of you are working on this.
I mean, the
a-
roll 20 rolls with advantage already.
Oh, right, I forgot.
20 always rolls with advantage, so that is a natural 20 for the first roll of the evening, as a 26. You're able to get everything you need fairly quickly. It doesn't take much time at all, just a couple hours. A lot of this was already on hand. You're able to launch a UAV and start sending it that direction, and while you do, you get the seismograph set up. You start studying the readings and kind of the local events. You talk with a couple of the laborers there who are trying to find the entrance to the ziggurat, and they said, "Oh, it's that's never done anything. It's just a mountain. It's not even a volcano. At least we didn't think it was." You take some seismograph readings, and you're able to confirm just from the way in which the land resonates that there doesn't appear to be a magma chamber beneath this mountain. It's not giving the right readings for that. And as the UAV reaches the destination, Captain White, you pull it up on the laptop and start looking. Why don't you go ahead and give me a perception check as you are navigating your way around. I will also accept a piloting check. Either would be appropriate.
Go with perception. 23.
Perception. A 23. So the UAV starts circling this mountain, and you're able to see, no, it's not, there's no caldera, there's no chimney for the volcano itself. And in fact, as you fly the UAV by, you get a closer look, and you can see that it's more of a smokestack, if nothing else, coming out of the top, rather than any kind of... Sorry, I had the wrong button hit, so it's been the exact same song over and over again. Any kind of actual opening of sorts. And with a 23, since you got over 21, there is also a glimpse of what looks like the entrance of something. It's hard to make it out in any detail, but there does seem to be some kind of doorway with a pair of statues on either side. You can't get a clear picture from this far away. There appears to be two statues on either side of a door, and maybe a face of sorts on the door as well.
Is that towards the top of the mountain or lower down?
It's about towards the top, probably not quite to the very top, in close proximity of that chimney that is now emitting a black smoke.
So I don't know if you're getting the same readings that I am, but that definitely is not giving volcano vibes. I guess we don't have to worry about Pompeii.
I guess so, but also that means that there is something very dangerous up at the top of that mountain that either is something that Basilisk put there, or they've messed with something on this planet they shouldn't have.
I think I might be leaning towards the second option, given and angling the laptop so you can see there is an entrance with some statues there that they look like they at least from this distance, they were probably carved into the mountain or carved from the mountain itself.
HP.
Or...
Yeah, I know.
I'm so tempted to be like, enhance.
Go ahead, roll me a science check.
Fuck yeah. Oh wait, that's a 24.
24.
To enhance.
Dr. Troy, you lean over Captain White's shoulder and you're like, wait, enhance. And you hit the enter key twice. And it's enhance. And you hit the enter key twice again. And each time it just gets a little bit bigger and it's all pixelated, but then it clears up. And then it gets a little bit bigger and it's all pixelated and then it clears up. And you are able to get zoomed in enough to get a look.
This feels appropriate because it is the 90s when like this kind of thing just like really flourished for no reason.
Nobody understood resolution in the 90s.
Sorry, you were saying.
As the image clears, the two statues on either side, you get a good look at them. And they appear to be animal-headed statues. One appears to have a serpent's face and has wings coming out of its shoulders, otherwise humanoid shoulders. And the other one looks like it might be a sheep or a goat, something along those lines is the other one. Sheep, goat, something like that. And then the face in the center is another statue. Now that you get a better look, it's another statue kneeling, and it appears to have a bull's head or an ox's head.
I like tap into my kind of Goa'uld history and see if any of those ring a bell.
So there are a number of different Goa'uld lords who have taken on serpent heads. There are fewer that have taken on goat or sheep heads, and there are quite a few that have taken on ox or bull heads. The three together, there's something about it. Now, usually I would just give you information like this, but there's a reason this is harder to recall. Give me a culture check. And we'll see if your symbiote recalls anything of use. A 9. There's something about these three together, but you thought instead of a bull head, it was a jackal head. So maybe you're thinking of a different trio. No clear connection to a Goa'uld you know of.
Sorry, Captain, I can't really piece it together.
There is something about a snake with wings that is ringing a lot of bells, though.
Yeah, it does. What did we learn about that from last time? Because it's been a while for me.
So a lot of these, the friend that you've made in research has secretly devoted much of his extra time to trying to help out. And it's actually something, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. It's something that he came up with that, well, there was apparently, at some point in Earth's history when Ra was in charge, there was a conflict on Earth between two Goa'uld lords. And Ra came out victorious, and the other did not. And almost all record of the other was stricken, removed. Not an easy thing to do, as Goa'uld have very long genetic memories. But yeah, so they were able to come up with that, and the closest, there was a Sumerian deity that used a winged serpent as the image, but the name was mostly lost.
Okay.
Any other questions from the volcano crew?
You said to the volcano itself, it was about a 3-day trip.
It's a 3-day trip. Yep.
Can we get an estimate on how long it would take to actually climb to get to that entrance?
That's including the climb.
Okay.
So that's kind of the best guess. Ningala said, yeah, to get to the top of that mountain, it's usually a 3-day trip.
And is that temple for the Janari in the same pathway, or are they in different directions?
You wouldn't lose much time to go past the river temple. No.
Okay.
Probably not even enough to notice. It's just a half day that way. You could likely stop on your way if that's your intention.
Well, I was thinking that's why I was trying to track where we were going, but we'll see what Zakum has to say.
I was just ask one thing of the kind of the local folk here before moving on. Was if when the folk that they now know as Basilisk came by, did they visit the mountain or take anything back from the mountain?
They didn't go anywhere near the mountain.
Cool.
Our scouts followed them the entire way, and they made their way to the river temple, spent some time there, left the temple, which we didn't even know you could get into the temple, left the temple with someone, and then that woman they left with, along with the Genasi there, all traveled back through the gate. So
Thank
no,
you.
they didn't go near it.
Interesting. I don't want to take up more time, but now I just want to ask them lots of questions. So
We'll hold off.
for dramatic reasons, let's switch scenes.
We'll switch scenes. A dramatic cue. The two of you, Lieutenant Song and Gary, make your way down this path. The two guards, they can see Ningal from there, and she nods her head and gives the okay. One of them escorts you a few hundred meters down the path into a deeper part of the jungle, away from the ruins. As you get a little bit closer, you can see a tent has been set up. There's two additional guards outside of it. All have the same short rifles with the hand cranks. The guard takes you that way, and during the walk, he looks at you and goes, "Might want to be careful. That one's a bit of a slimy talker. Hard to pin down."
Slimy?
Yeah. You don't want to talk to any of us. Something about being lesser. Now
Did he get all intense about it when he did it? When he'd say that?
It felt like he was trying to, but then when he got real intense and his eyes started glowing real hard, that's when they kind of flickered a bit and went out, and then he was just, well, he just sounded like another Genasi trying to convert us at that point.
Right. Lieutenant Song, have you seen a Guolud yet?
No.
All right, well, you're about to.
The two of you make your way to the tent. The flap is parted and securely chained to a chair that is in the center of this tent, that is then staked to the ground not too far away, is a figure. They are wearing tattered robes that were probably once very colorful. Looked like almost royal dignitary robes. A lot of embroidery, a lot of work went into them, even beadwork, but it's tattered, it's shredded, it's old. And as you enter, the figure's head slowly rises to face you. And when it does, very, very briefly, their eyes glow with this intense white gleam. The figure looks at you.
What is it that you want?
Lieutenant Song looks over her shoulder at Gary and just nods once firmly. And then she actually steps forward and falls to her knees in a rather supplicant position. And she looks up and she just like puts on this bright smile and she says, "We're here to hear your wisdom, as none of these others will."
Then you are wiser than all of them. Perhaps you will be granted a swift death rather than slow. Let me hear your plea.
We are strangers to this place. We know nothing, and we would like to learn what there is to know, what is important. I know that they call you a messenger, and that you come with a message that none of the others here will listen to or credit. Must they be words that will die with us?
My host is a fool.
And for clarity, I'm going to turn off the voice, but he keeps talking like that.
Okay. Why?
He raves. And my strength is not what it once was. Perhaps you, as a servant, can find the means to return my strength to me, that I may abandon this host for a new one. Looking at you, he goes, maybe even you as a gift from your god.
Ooh.
If Gary sees like Sazu like hesitating or thinking, you're gonna hear like the second we walked in and it started talking, Gary has been uncharacteristically quiet and like rigid, just glaring daggers at this thing. And if Sazu is like giving any indication of like considering, you'll hear Gary kind of uncomfortably shuffle on her feet behind her, just like
She's thinking. It's unclear what she's thinking.
Exactly. Gary's like,
What would it take to restore your strength?
My sarcophagus was broken. Find me a new one, and you will be richly rewarded.
Is there like a time limit on this sort of thing?
His glowing eyes, very slightly dim, not much.
Bring it soon, or bring me there. And you shall be saved while the cloud takes the rest.
I understand. What is this cloud?
Their eyes kind of dim just a little bit more. Make me a persuasion check with advantage.
Oh, I would love to.
You appropriately
That
supplicated
is
27.
27.
You have played to this gold's ego perfectly. He looks down upon you and go ahead and repeat your question one more time, just to make sure I answer it appropriately.
What is this cloud?
It is the rolling death, to choke the life and block the sun.
Is it in your power?
It is mine. I created it. My very breath.
can I insight check, or can I? Gary's clued into some bullshit. She thinks this guy's saying some stuff to make himself seem fancier and more all-powerful than he is. Typical Goa'uld.
Go ahead and insight check away.
Brilliant. I'm just going to move this here. I've got disadvantage on my first roll.
So that goes to a 15.
A 15, sick.
With a 15, you try and assess the bravado that this Goa'uld is portraying, and you're not picking up the sense that they're lying about any of it. The threat seems real. As far as you can tell, the source of it seems legitimate.
Okay.
You detect no lies.
Gotcha. Thank you.
The eyes begin to dim a little bit more. Any other questions?
Gonna look back over my shoulder at Gary. Any questions?
Yeah. I got a couple of names. I'm wondering if it means anything to this being. Perhaps Uran, Dr. Eric Martin, Talos. You know any of these names?
The figure whose full attention has been on the supplicant, Lieutenant Song, will lazily turn your way and glare. And you get the feeling that they tried to brighten their eyes a bit, but it was... they like tried to squeeze the muscle and it didn't flex. And they'll look at you and say,
You of rebellious posture. Even if I knew those names, I would tell you not.
Gary will kind of kick at the dirt a little bit and scratch behind her ear before taking a couple steps forward. I understand that a strong, independent woman can be very challenging for you in this time, but understand this. I'm on this side and you're on that side, and I happen to know you're not long for this world and you need us more than we need you. So how about you treat me like an equal instead of some hurt thing in a cage, because that's what you are. Make no mistake.
go ahead and roll intimidation with disadvantage.
Up to -2, which is very cool. So that's a 6.
The Goa'uld will look at you and it will try for a second time to kind of turn up the radiance on its eyes. And instead, the glow goes away completely. And his head slumps for a moment. And then when they look up at you again, you can see these faded, light gray eyes. And the figure there will look at you and go, in perfectly normal, non-Goa'uld voice, "The serpent has risen. The unblemished land returned. You shall be saved in the knowing. You shall be cleansed by the cloud. Yes? Yes? Or are you rebels?" Glancing at Gary and glancing down at Song. "Are you believers? Do you know?"
We do not know yet. We are strangers to these lands. You are Zakum?
I I am Zakum, yes, and I bring the message of your salvation and the message of your destruction. I bring the word of the winged serpent and the lamb. I bring the breath of the ox. I bring the demise of the rebels. May they choke and the sun be blotted out, and only their monuments remain behind as their flesh melts. Will you rebel or be saved?
What does, what? Can you give us more context?
The figure just seems very confused.
What does rebelling
Ox.
mean? What are people rebelling against?
To rebel against the true gods, the proper gods. To stand against them, to ignore their blessing. You will be blessed. You will be blessed, and you will serve in the after as you served in the now.
What are the names of your gods?
Oh, I dare not speak the names of the serpent and the lamb.
Come on, tough guy. I think you got it in you.
Blasphemy, no, do not push.
Is the ox one of the true gods?
Yes, one, of course. Do you not know? Are you
We do
a
not
rebel?
know.
A blasphemer? Do you not understand?
We are strangers. We are strangers. And she is like just taking notes frantically.
He's growing like more and more frantic, and it's like he's crossed his arms and he starts rocking. Do you not know? Give me a persuasion check.
All right. 31. That's not even a natural 20.
Starts rocking back and forth. Do you not know? Do you not know?
We do not know. Please tell us so that we may know.
Ra and Mamitu, Enlil and Wepawet. These are the gods. No, I've spoken their names. I've spoken their names. And he starts like slapping himself in the head with both of his hands. I must not.
It's all right. Hey, bud, it's all right. We're not gonna be running through the streets shouting them. You're all right. If your gods were that mad, they would have struck you down now. You're all right. You're fine. Take it easy.
And he just freezes. And his head lifts up slowly, with just a glimmer of glow in his eyes.
Save me or leave me. You'll hear no more from the fool.
And we'll go back to the other questions that Dr. Troy had.
Can I still remember them?
That I don't know.
I guess basically he is going from person to person, basically asking what is the significance of the temples, and are there any stories of that mountain, or does anyone know of that temple that seems to be embedded in the side of the mountain cliff?
Go ahead and give me a culture check as you kind of work through and ask these people a lot of questions about their beliefs and their history.
12.
You get a fairly consistent reply. The Bedu are not a religiously minded people. You start picking up on that. They are deeply philosophical, but the idea of gods is repellent to them. They've spent a lot of their history as a people trying to destroy the remnants of these old gods, which stands in stark contrast to the Genesi, who continue to lift up the serpent and the lamb. The Bedu refer to her as the goat, and the Genesi, the lamb. It's kind of a point of contention there. But the Bedu that you talk to, it's pretty consistent. They don't know much of their history because, well, it's been so dangerous. They've been wiping it out completely. And they haven't been able to research it recently because of conflict with the Genesi keeping them away. So that mountain, you do get its name. It's called Mount Enlil. There hasn't been anyone able to safely climb it for some time. It's all more military excursions than, research trips. You know that they know there's temples scattered across this area. I think that's kind of the loose things that you're able to pick up with your 12. No specifics, no details.
Okay. After taking as many readings as the two of them can, and talking with as many of the townsfolk as they can, the two of us are going to head back to town and try to find the other two.
So everything's kind of centered around this archaeological dig, and we'll just say that safely it takes about a day for all of this to take place. That sound fair to everyone? Is there anything else that you'd like to do during this day?
Are we including in this day that we're all kind of gathering and sharing information?
Yes, yep, that'd be kind of the end of the day. So if there's anything you want to do before that end of the day.
I think after we've kind of gathered the information and established, like, hey, this is kind of the path that we're taking, which I imagine we're all in agreement on. Like, we're going to stop at the river temple and work our way up to the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
If we're assuming that this cloud is likely some kind of biological agent, then making sure that we have the appropriate gear to go into something like that.
Yep. I think that
Sounds
works.
good.
So Keeper, we've got basically like an archaeologist camp, right? We're talking tents and lean-tos. There's not like sophisticated.
Lean-tos. There's no real structures, no real houses or buildings.
Okay. Following the conversation with the rest of the party and kind of divulging the information, Gary would probably go find a tree or closest thing to a tree she could find in this little camp, and she would park under it and put some headphones in and just be a little bit unattached to the rest of the group, at least for a couple of hours, putting herself in a little bit of a timeout.
So I do have one question while we're kind of still as a group. Can we get an idea on how quickly this cloud is moving? Given that the readings that we've done?
That's definitely something with some further research may be helpful. And then you'll also have a bit of a touchstone because you have a really good reading of that first day.
Mm-hmm.
So it did not seem to notably increase throughout the day. But you do have kind of a starting point.
If we can pursue that a little bit just to get an idea on maybe a timeline so that we know how quickly we might need to evacuate these people if need be. So
sounds like a good plan for future research. And what is everyone else doing as the evening kind of winds down after the conversation?
The Stargate was built into the side of whatever, of something that the Bedu are excavating, right?
Yes, yeah, it's fairly common for the Stargates to be in ruins. A lot of times, especially when the Goa'uld are involved, because they set themselves up as deities and they need to and want to control the Stargates, a lot of times those are, important places for them.
Okay. After asking around and double checking that the Genesi are still all off somewhere else celebrating their cultural holiday and not about to come and pop some caps, Sazu is actually going to take a stroll through whatever parts of this excavation are easily accessible and just like look for any like inscriptions or motifs that look familiar and see if she can get any cultural knowledge from this.
Let me do something that happens at the end of the day. Write that down so I don't forget it. As you start wandering around the archaeological dig, go ahead and give me either a perception or investigation, your choice.
Okay.
I'm skipping culture on purpose. Even
That
survival
is-
would work.
That is 14 on investigation.
Okay. You start making your way around the archaeological dig, and even though there's quite a few people, several dozen Bedu that have been working, the jungle is dense and the roots are thick, and they've not made a great deal of progress, and there's not really any way without some additional progress that you can even get to the temple beneath. There's enough sticking out that you know it's a temple, but those parts that are sticking out are so heavily weathered that nothing of use remains. So your assessment with a 14 is it will take more work before you can learn something like that.
Okay.
Anything else? Yep. As evening falls, the area around the archaeological dig gets not quite wild, but there's something about archaeologists that go just a little bit off the rails when they're at a dig. And so there's drinks passed around, there's stories being told, kind of a general sense of camaraderie taking place. And you're able to pick up just by being somewhat present. There's also kind of some undertones of uncertainty and fear. It is unfortunate when a people that completely reject what they don't understand are, well, faced with someone that says they're the prophet from God here to talk about the end of all things, and then a volcano that's definitely not a volcano starts belching black smoke. So there's more than a few that are unnerved. The evening... oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, if this is something that's being discussed openly, I think Gary would kind of move to those towards those conversations, and try to encourage optimism. Sure. You don't... Does it really matter if it came from these dark evil gods? Or if it's something else entirely? You've made it this far without them.
Well, kind of a group of laborers, and there's this one woman among them who kind of responds well to you, and she says, well, our people fought against them long ago, cast out our gods. According to the Bedu, it was us that locked away Mamitu, the goat. They didn't leave us. We got rid of them. But
Right.
what do we do if they're back?
Well, you do what you already did. You push them back.
And
The
this
fact-
time you've got help.
The fact that you're here, that you do this, you don't need to rely on some higher power. Because I'm going to be honest with you, it's a bunch of scared worms. You don't look like you're scared of worms.
Usually not.
Right.
But-
Whatever that problem is, you just need time to think about it.
I think you're right. They kind of look toward the direction of the mountain silhouetted across the unfamiliar starscape. But we do have to know what it is if we're going to defeat it.
You're right. And we will.
Thank
You
you
have my
for
word.
coming to help.
It's what we do.
The rest of the evening passes, nothing particularly eventful. There's a few times where the gate opens and closes for regular check-ins back at base. You receive maybe some more resources that you'll need for the next day. The night passes. The sun comes up the next day. And it's time for some additional work in the area. Ningal greets you in the morning, absurdly early. It's still dark out when she's outside of your tents going, Phoenix 4. Phoenix. Hello.
Yes, good morning.
That's nearly morning. Just a little bit longer and the sun will rise, but we like to get started early. Was wondering what your plan was for the day so that I could plan with my laborers as well.
I think we're going to go upriver.
That's a good plan. I
Is there something
s-
that's concerning you?
no, just there's so much to do. That sounds like a good plan. The more we know, the better. I'll send Enoch with you. He will be a good guide. He knows the way upriver. He knows the way to the river temple.
Thank you.
I'll get him. It'd be good to start early. You might want to collect your things.
Does does she seem as obviously agitated as you make her sound?
Go ahead and roll an insight check.
I would love to. 18.
Yes. She is the leader of these people and yet uncertain of what's going on. There is on her plate a lot that needs done. And you can imagine that is weighing heavily upon her.
Okay. Sazu will just give her as reassuring a smile as she can. And just say, thank you. Again.
Thank you. Enoch will be here shortly.
Okay.
She'll go off into the dark. Anything the group wants to do before Enoch arrives?
Gary would just be putting together her equipment into her pack, getting all situated, making sure that they had plenty of, fresh water or all the things that they would need. Double checking, making sure she has her engineering kit squared away, flashlights to be able to see, and her usual little pack of C4 is handy.
That's good. It's only about 20 minutes or so. A rather short fellow makes his way over to your tents. Hello. I'm Enoch. I will be your guide. Nagal said that you wanted to go to the river temple. I can take you upriver that direction.
Yes. Hello, Enoch. We are almost ready to go, I think. Are we almost ready to go?
Yes, ready, set, go.
Let's make our way. He leads you down to the river. There are a number of small boats, nothing large. They seem mostly to be fishing boats. You climb aboard one, and he pushes off, and you start heading north. As Ningal had said, it is about a half day's journey. So there's, about 5-6 hours of travel upriver. The jungle is just alive with noise. There are insects and birds. You can hear, what sounds almost like primate calls. And everywhere you look, there's this life and there's this movement. And then over your shoulder in the distance, or not over your shoulder, in front of you in the distance, rather, you're heading that way. There's also a mountain with a stream of smog coming out the top. Enoch, as you're kind of traveling along, we appreciate the help. Phoenix has been good to us, and I want you all to know we're pulling for you.
Right on, my man.
There have been Genasi near the river temple, so when we get there, take care. They have been surprisingly passive of late. I've not even seen them with their weapons. They seem more content to, I don't know, dance and sing than to fight. And there's something about that that makes me more uncomfortable than an entire hand of Genasi shooting at me from the undergrowth. It's wrong. We've been in conflict with these people for generations, and now they ignore us.
They think they've already won.
That is what they say. Their celebrations of the end of days, it's their victory cry. I can hear it. And their songs. But I don't know what that means. We're still here.
Yeah, well. Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Their songs, do they sound like what that messenger said? Death to the non-believers. The rise of... I'm guessing that laugh means I'm onto something there.
Well, the Genesi's war cry is essentially death to the rebels. So, yes. There's a great deal of we'll choke and never see the sun sort of language over and over again. It's quite unpleasant, honestly.
Sorry, I just put two and two together for a second there. Ningal was saying that before the Basilisk team came through, there were Jaffa that they helped get rid of. The Jaffa, did they wear a certain emblem at all?
Yes, we talked to, I think it was Phoenix 1 about them.
Yeah.
It was a jackal standing
Jackal.
on a snake. I think that I don't know, the name was ridiculous. It was like Wop.
Wepawet?
Wop. That's the one. But yeah, they haven't been through since. But they came through not long before Basilisk. We came upon them setting up camp right where the tent is at the dig.
Gotcha. And this river temple that we're headed to, last night when I was talking to some of the folks there, they mentioned that your people captured Mimitu?
It's one of our legends.
Right. Does this temple have any significance to that particular legend?
Well, we've been by, and I mean, we've lost our history. It's just
I
stories.
understand. Right.
We don't know the locations, if those places even really existed.
Understood.
Everywhere around here was once central to our civilization before the Bedu and the Genasi split ways, and well, it's all from I guess the rebellion the Genasi talk about.
The Genasi, do they have a particular fondness for any of their perceived gods?
Oh, they revere the serpent and the goat. Don't let them hear you call her that, though. Above all others.
Do they have... They wouldn't happen to be, you know... Well... Mimitu's the goat, correct?
Yes.
And the serpent? Does it have a name?
Not in our legends.
The messenger was pretty, hesitant to mention any names. That's why I asked.
Names are powerful things.
Boy, don't I know it. Gary's gonna turn and, kind of as we're walking with the rest of the group. Listen, I'm not one for gold politics, but I think what we have is a race to some kind of finish line. We've got a Weppawet that sent troops here to retrieve something. We've got who I'm guessing, and Song, back me up here, but I think the Goa'uld that they currently have in custody is, I don't know what name it would have.
The Ox.
The Ox, yeah.
Out of character, what are the 4 names that we were given again by...
So we were given Ra, Mimitu, and Weppawet. We were only given 3. Ra,
They
what was
said
it?
Era.
Did they say Era?
Yep.
Did they also say Enlil?
Enlil. Yes.
Okay.
They
I
said
guess.
era, not Ra.
Correct.
Oh, Era. Okay, that was my mistake.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so we've got Era, Mimitu, Weppawet, and then what was the other one?
Enlil.
Can I get a spelling on that?
Enlil. And that is also what that mountain was called.
Okay.
Is something that was pieced together by the group when you met back up.
Okay. So, okay.
So the name of the mountain is also the name of a god?
Yes. But
We know-
you didn't get the impression when you were talking to the laborers that it was anything other than the name of the place.
Well, as far as they know. These things go back quite a long time, as we all know. Sorry, my brain is like a Ford Model T right now. It's just slowly chugging along. It'll get there eventually.
So, the rest of you already know quite a lot, it seems, about Weppawet, right?
I've read through the logs. It seems like there's been a lot of references to Weppawet, and during my time with Basilisk, I encountered several references to this particular Goa'uld as well.
They seem to continue to get in our way. Ever since well, at least for me and the captain, ever since we joined on with Phoenix, they've been a steady and mysterious force. I wish I could tell you more about them, but they come and they go pretty quickly. But they seem to be amassing their, power.
We do know that, at least in the records, they were subservient to Anubis. I think that they're in conflict with Ra, if I'm remembering right. That was something that you...
This is the weird line where me and Meg are like trying to remember as people what the hell we remember, but knowing character, we'd probably know a little bit better than we do right now.
So,
Oh no, this is totally in character because I think that information came from when you were on the prison planet.
Yep. So there was some information that, I'm happy to help with because it is definitely, that gap between character and player knowledge. I completely spaced for a moment. There's the gap in DM knowledge.
Give us your strange mystical Egyptian lore.
So one of the things that was determined, and it was right after the prison planet, was that Wepawet is a Gould who is consistently subservient to other Gould. And you went through the list of who they've been subservient to, and they've been every single Gould lord they've been subservient to is one that essentially Stargate has killed, going all the way back to Ra. And then there was one other name, and the name was mentioned at the beginning of the 3rd episode, I believe, where Wepawet was subservient to a Gould named Ra. Even before they were subservient to Ra himself.
So are they slowly chipping away at all the other gods? Or are they just really unlucky?
That is the question.
Are they the Silver Surfer to our Galactus?
Oh,
They were-
no.
They were in prison for a while, right? Because they were a statue for the longest time, weren't they?
No, that
Not
was
Wepawet.
not Wepawet. That
Oh,
was
somebody else.
Somebody else.
I forget who. The ominous look the GM is giving us right now as we're slowly piecing together his series long lore.
So Wepawet sent troops here to retrieve something, but they were taken out before they could do it. The Me Too is captured somewhere here, according to legend. That leaves Anil and Era. According to the optics that we got of the mountain,
Who knows? Maybe this mountain is a prison mountain. It's keeping one of their Gould gods captive here for some reason.
no. If it was a weapon, Basilisk would have gone there. Instead, they went to a temple.
I mean, it's easily possible a temple and the mountain are connected, both physically and metaphorically.
I don't doubt that, AT, but what I'm saying is that Gould that they've got captured in that messenger, he's the ox. He's one of them.
Mhm.
How familiar are you all with the correlation between Egyptian Sumerian gods and the naming? Is that something we can figure out?
I will certainly accept a culture check from anyone that would think they would be doing that kind of research. And Solomon, by
I-
default, as the diplomat,
I
they'd be
will
available to her.
do such a thing. 19 on culture.
19 on culture. So the culture checks for these sorts of things tend to be pretty difficult without having research materials at hand, because you're recalling your general lore of Sumerian gods. Enlil is consistent with an earth god. It is depicted by an ox in some legends. Mamitu is the goddess of fate. She chooses above all else. That is her role, to choose. And her consort, now with all of these names around, her consort is the god Ra, who is the god of war and pestilence.
Sorry,
As-
I missed a name in there. Era is the consort of.
Yeah, me
Of
too.
Mamitu.
Me too. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Does Era get depicted as a winged snake by any chance?
So that's the interesting thing about a Ra, and that's where the 19 kind of reaches its limit. It is a name that is only found in relation with these other names. There's no extant research that you know of that speaks of a Ra or his purpose or how he appears. There's only the basically it's a name that, and this happens a lot in ancient literature, it's a name where you only find it connected to another name. And so Mamitu will be talked about and depicted, and Mamitu is either a goat or a lamb or a sheep depending on the region, and she is regularly so her lore exists, and then tied to her in places there is Mamitu and her consort Ra. And there's references to the wars that he brings and the pestilence that he brings, but no details. So it's always in conjunction with, it's never a Ra by himself.
Okay, this knowledge gets shared around.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that they've gotten Lil inside their little messenger there.
Yeah.
So that gives us one accounted for. That leaves Wepwet isn't here, I don't think. They're somewhere else sending in forces, so that's 2. Mimitu is trapped somewhere, according to legend. That leaves Era out there doing something. You mentioned that there's an unknown gold that you've encountered. Something about a statue there? AT?
That's a name that I would probably know, and I'm blanking on it. HP, please.
The statue.
Who is the escaped prisoner? Do we know?
So no one. I put a nameplate on it, and no one looked for nameplates or anything like that. So it's probably, and I'll answer it this way. It might be something worth checking out. To go back and look.
Do we have time before we venture to the cliffside?
We're already we're like in the jungle, dude. We on our way to a temple. There ain't no way.
You're on the way to a temple. To answer your question, if you want to go to the temple, check out the temple, and instead of continuing to the mountain, go back to the Stargate to head back to that world.
No, we'll do that later.
It's certainly an option.
It'll all make sense on our final episode.
Do you think? Sorry.
No, keep going. You were saying.
Do you think that Basilisk took Mimitu with them?
Distinctly possible.
If they did, it would be highly uncharacteristic of their objectives. My understanding is that they are hell-bent on the destruction of the gold.
I mean, there's plenty of strategic reasons you want to take someone.
Sure. But they'd have to stop Uran with his minigun first, and that in and of itself is a task and a half. I mean, it's possible, but it would be worth noting, I believe that to be an intensely strong pivot from the goals that I understood them to have.
I mean, they have a new player. They have someone who is going to freshen up the mix. Russo is very good at what she does, and Lord knows she might introduce a few complications. So at this point, I think we're just doing a bunch of, guesswork, and we need more information before we can really nail down any of these theories.
It's not about nailing down any theories at this point, there, AT. This is about getting all of our facts on the table. Making sure we're emptying all our pockets, so when something does come up, we're able to connect the dots. It's, when you're trying to rebuild an RC car that you took apart for your brother's birthday, it's important to make sure you have all the pieces on the table. Because if you forget a running belt, the whole thing's not going to work. You don't remember the name of this gold. That's fine. Was there any, but you knew it was a gold. Was there any kind of communications, iconography, anything related to it? Something that we might be able to keep an eye out for here.
Culturally, it was someone who had been imprisoned in a war that we suspect took place probably thousands of years ago. It could have no bearing on what's happening now, or it could be something that's been slowly boiling for thousands of years. Someone who, when, I guess, pulled off of your parts list, the car didn't run, and now it's complete. I'm sorry, the metaphor is getting away from me, but it's a player in a war, at least a conflict that's been going on for millennia, as far as I remember.
Was there any... Yeah, we'll have to check back on this when we get back. But
We're nearing the temple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As you take a bend in the river, working your way upriver with some difficulty, but Enoch is certainly keeping the pace fairly steady. He points, and there is a large side of a mountain that the river bends, and as you come around the bend, you see that the river enters into a cavern in the side of this mountain, and it's not so deep that you can't see to the other side. You can definitely see light on the other side of this. And when you reach the mouth of this cavern, there is this echoing song that is just bouncing across the walls and the surface of the water. It's in a dialect you don't immediately recognize, but Sazu's able to piece it together. It's a form of Sumerian, Akkadian, Arabic. It's that transition that language takes through time, and it sounds joyful. Has kind of a upbeat movement to it, but then Lieutenant Song, you start getting the words, and it is, they shall choke, and they shall be made no more, and it is a very happy song about very dark things that you can translate for the group if you would like, or let them go on in blissful ignorance about what is going on.
My favorite genre of music. I will translate for the rest of the group.
You mean every lullaby in existence?
Lullaby, you will die.
Rockabye
So
baby,
will your
fall out of a
people.
tree. And as you near the temple, that is where we are going to take just a brief intermission break. Refill fluids, empty other fluids. We'll be back in 5 to 10, something like that. And we'll see what this temple has in store.
we're back.
Yeah.
I think so. We should be. All
I'm
of
gonna hit
signs
refresh.
indicate yes.
There
There we
go.
go. Okay.
Yes, all signs point to yes. We're good. All right.
Damn it, Basilisk.
So, giving you a little bit of a
Fucking
battle
with
map
us.
to get a better idea. As you approach, that song gets louder and louder. And as you come up beside this paired temple, there are a few things that are particularly prominent. One, there are 10 Genesi who are in various postures of worship, facing a pair of massive statues. The roof of this cavern is probably 40 feet above your heads. And these statues, probably about 25 feet up. One of them is masculine in appearance. It is a human figure, strong of build. The head is that of a serpent. And the and then the back has wings. The second one, that should have fixed that issue. The second one is feminine in appearance and has what appears to be a lamb or a sheep's head. And the 10 figures are celebrating something. There's also the 2 ziggurats themselves, one on your side and one on the other. Enoch will pull the boat up to the side of this and tie it off. I'll keep an eye on him from here. And he starts turning a crank on this short rifle that he has. You can kind of hear it buzzing and the energy building within it.
Take it easy there. Enoch, you said they had laid down their weapons, right?
We've been fighting him for generations. It's hard to,
Old habits. I understand. I mean, keep it handy, but maybe just don't. Let's not pick a fight that we don't need to, huh?
Yeah, I can see the wisdom in that.
We're new faces. Who knows? Maybe they'll tell us a couple of stories, help fill in some of our gaps. Appreciate the ride, though.
So, just to get a little bit of your perspective before we go into this, do you know where Zigum came from?
He just appeared at the dig. Stood with arms raised up about where the, what do they call it? The DHD? He stood about there, raised up his hands, declared we were all going to die under a black cloud, and then Mountain Little started to smoke. That's all I know.
Life of the party, then.
It was uncomfortable.
Culturally,
Huh.
he isn't Genasi or otherwise, or what?
He doesn't dress like a Genasi. I don't know. His clothes, they looked like they were fine once, but ripped and torn. I just glanced. I was there when he was arrested. I haven't seen him since.
No worries.
And for a little bit more context on my end of the things, do the Genasi have a particular god that they favor out of the two?
They, from the briefing, what you pick up is they have a long-standing belief that the serpent would rise and return, but they seem to prefer the lamb. They take great offense if she's called anything other than a lamb, and they treat her like a mother in a lot of ways.
I think it's time to start exploring.
Yeah.
The map's yours. What are you all going to do with a river island temple full of worshippers?
Hang back.
Oh, I'm sorry there, Song. Not today.
You're
got
the
some-
diplomat, man.
You got some talents. We're gonna help them shine. You did really well with that gold. I will admit I lost my head there for a minute. But I've taken some time, and I think we'll be alright. I think we need to talk to these folks. If we can get them to mumble past the death threats or excitement over our ultimate demise, we might be able to get some information that the Bedu just simply, or the Bedu rather, simply do not have. If we can get that information, that would be ideal. Then we can enter into the temple, determine what was taken, and make on our merry way. Sound like a good plan? Any?
So we're not actually going to go in and kill them all.
Oh no, I don't see the point of that.
Okay.
Was that?
Did we give you the impression otherwise?
She just looks over her shoulder at, Enoch.
This is why he's staying back.
He said he could take care of them from here. Okay.
Don't shoot them unless they get hostile. Please.
I understand.
Thank you.
All right.
So do we split up? Do we investigate the temple?
I
Well-
think we
Professor or Dr. Song speaks to the locals, or
I think we accompany Dr. Song and we learn as much as we can before making our way. We can ask them, perhaps they know, since some of them left with Basilisk, which areas they messed around with, you know, and then we can make our way down to whatever we see. But I think we for now should try to infiltrate with these. Well, infiltrate's a bit of a strong word. We should just talk to them. And they can talk crazy at us, that's fine, so long as we get a lot of words that we can put in with our little RC car puzzle that we've got going on.
okay, Song, how well do you speak crazy? I'll take that as about as equal as any one of us, so we got your back, though.
Okay. How much of their song actually have I transcribed by now?
Oh, I mean, it seems to be kind of a series of hymns, like the upbeat hymns, the ones sung on holidays. You know, they're not as much as the simple 4/4. They really break out some of the other timings for this. But no, you're able to piece the songs together. They're fairly consistent. One of them actually, that's a good way to go ahead and give me a culture check.
All right.
22. This is exactly what the diplomat does, and does so very, very well. There's one song that has come up a couple times, and it seems to be almost a it feels like an origin story of sorts. And you're able to put the song together. Now, of course, in the original dialect, it rhymes and has a better beat. But essentially, the way the story goes is there was this great serpent, and it longed to fly, but felt trapped on the ground. So great was their longing that they grew wings and learned to fly. While the serpent was journeying, they met the lamb and knew together they could create a great nation. And while the latter did not want to fly, they embraced the goals of their companion, their passion, and supported them as a partner, a friend, and a lover. And then the serpent and the lamb traveled far together, meeting both friends and enemies. Their dearest friend was the jackal, who both loved and hated their friends. Jealous of what the two had, this friend betrayed them to their great enemy, the sun falcon, who despised all other than themselves, with no exception for this trio. Though now named a betrayer, the former friend would outlast their exiled companions until the serpent would rise again, the lamb would be saved, and all would be made new. And I, so you don't have to piece that together, will just hit the show to players button on that song.
Thank you.
So essentially the song is everything up to the line, now a new chapter is written. So that is this particular hymn is actually in 5/4. That's canon. It has a little bit of a jazzy feel to it. A little Dave Brubeck.
Aren't songs like Jingle Bell Rock in like 5/4?
Sounds right.
Oh Lord.
So that is what you're able to piece together from the song as far as the story of the song. And then it seems to go into a new verse, and that new verse is the celebration, the fulfillment of this others.
Okay. Before stepping off of the boat, Sazu is just going to give everybody a reassuring smile and a firm nod, and give everybody an inspire number of HP. Let me just double check. Yeah, so everybody gets 5 temporary hit points. And while you still have those temporary hit points, there's going to be a number of other things that that can happen. So just in case this devolves into violence.
Sounds like a plan.
You said 5?
5.
Thank you.
And then she steps off the boat with clipboard and pen in hand. And if possible, if they are actually just rotating through the same selection of hymns over and over again, I don't know if this is feasible, but I would like her to approach the Genesi, like sort of joining in and singing along.
So as you step onto this island, one of the Genesi who has been watching the group of you, does start to walk forward and seems a little concerned and definitely eyes Enoch over on the boat. And then as they approach, they hear you joining in the verses, and a smile crosses his face. And he walks forward, and he has a rather pronounced hat. They all do. They all have rather large hats with a feather coming out of them. As he walks forward, he lifts both of his hands and places his palms together and says, so you are one of the pure, not one of the spoiled, then.
Imitating the gesture. We are strangers. We are seeking to learn whatever there is to learn here.
But it seems that you have certainly heard what is good. You have heard the good word.
We have heard a portion of it. There is undoubtedly much more for us to learn about.
There is not much time, for the end has begun, and we can share, but, well, you must learn soon. A few days hence, paradise will be reached.
A few days as in like 2 days, or a few days as in like 7 days, because those are a very different number of days.
Oh, well, we always hope for the lesser, of course, that we might reach paradise, but closer to the latter.
Right, and is there anything that we can do to hasten this coming about? Or is this celebration in pure joy and not in an effort to further the plans of the great and glorious serpent and sheep?
Oh, we celebrate. We celebrate the life gifted to us. We breathe in the air of what comes after. And though our bodies fall, we shall rise to paradise.
Breathing in. Breathing in the breath of the ox. Is that right?
Yes, his breath will roll across the countryside, and it will take all who believe on to what is next, what is glorious, and destroy those who do not. It is a beautiful miracle. Come, join us in the worship of Mamitu.
Okay. Looks like there's a nice spot over here. And honestly, just like standing here for a while and just like taking more notes.
Gary's my token, I didn't move it to the right place, but Gary would have been kind of backing up Song, and as they invite her to participate in the ritual, she would put up a hand and say, "Yes, hello there. I have a question. One of my there was another believer, I believe, that passed through here. Well, a gaggle of them. One would have been Dr. Eric Martin. I'm a friend of his. I was wondering, he went and looked at some stuff. I'm just wondering what I need to also look at it so I can touch base with him later on it.
Well, the serpent and his allies indeed did come. They descended in this very holy place itself, and the serpent and lamb returned together. Ascended triumphant, they took our strongest warriors with them.
The
That
serpent?
they might fight the jackal and destroy the sun falcon. But worry not about such things, all will be answered after.
Right. Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that I'm really hyped about the finale there too, bud, but I just, want to get caught up on the lore before that happens. You pointed in what way?
The kind of, he gestured in general to this temple as the holy place. Or did he mean which way did they go?
Yeah, Gary's going to nod and start moving in that direction with renewed haste.
Okay, yeah, it was just kind of a general, this holy place, hands around him.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay, so this, great. Was there a room or specific building structure? Just want to make sure I give it the proper attention that such a holy place
Questioning
deserves.
the ways of the gods falls.
No, not
into
questioning.
The purview of the rebels.
Not
This
questioning.
is-
Just want to get real hyped. Want to see it for myself. You know what I mean? Some things are so miraculous. You want to see it for your own eyes. So when the end comes, you can like pull up that visual and just die with like the beauty of that in your
persuasion.
mind. I would love to do this.
With advantage, because Song has set everything up quite nicely. They're quite
Great.
impressed with the newcomers.
You sure I couldn't roll deception? 19.
19? 19 is good. They kind of gesture. Well, they descended into the holy place here. And points to the ziggurat behind him. This one over on the left side of your map.
Perfect. Gary would nod. Thank you. Thank you, fellow believer. In the serpent and the lamb. I will just take in that masterpiece with my own eyes so I can bask in the knowingness of how great and powerful they are. As she just turns on her heel and starts moving in that direction. She's actually going to throw a look back to White and maybe like a couple like, you want to come with me, bud? As she starts trucking that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Troy, what are you up to during all of this?
Sorry, I don't have anything to add at this point, so
Perfect.
I'm just standing and watching.
Yep.
Trying to look respectful, despite the fact that Troy does not believe a thing they're saying.
You're supporting Sazu and trying to understand what these hymns are and putting pieces together.
As much as I love music, I don't think that Troy does. I don't think he gets it.
It's not about the music, it's about the words.
The two of you going exploring, go ahead and give me an investigation check as you start looking around that section of temple.
I would love to do that, sir. No!
And then,
Gary,
well,
why?
Captain White's looking too. So
Is it investigation?
yes.
Well, we're about as equally incompetent.
I'm actually gonna.
14's not terrible.
I'm
Oh, go ahead.
actually going to use my inspiration skill to allow Gary to re-roll that investigation.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I was just looking to see what other options I had really quick. I don't think I have any, so I would love to re-roll. Thank you. Come on, baby. 16's much better.
16's much better. So the two of you start investigating this ziggurat on the on this side of this small river island. Start making your way up the side. You get to the top of the ziggurat. You look down. It's not unusually tall. It reminds you very much so of the shorter ziggurats with the plant people. It's not towering. It's squat and low. You get to the top, and it shares a lot of similarities with that ziggurat. It even shares some of the imagery. As you get to the top of this one, you do see carved near the top some of the winged serpent imagery. You also see what you've come to associate with the lamb, its image as well. And there is, at the top with a 16, there doesn't appear to be any obvious way in to this ziggurat. There's no door, there's no window. It appears to just be solid stone with a platform at top.
I use some of the remaining equipment that I was using to. So I assume that Troy would have left some of the bigger equipment, but I'm sure he still has some kind of, reading equipment.
Absolutely.
And can he use some of that to try to decipher what we might be missing?
Sure. You definitely you can see from here the two of them trying to get a closer look at this temple. Go ahead and give me a science check with advantage because you have the appropriate tools.
Sounds good to me. 18, not much better, but it can help.
18 is not, you are able to.
I was
some
so hoping you'd
waves.
say investigation, so it'd be a 20, but that's fine. Science makes more sense.
I was hoping for a perception for a higher number.
You're able to send some resonance waves through this ziggurat, and you get the readings back, and it is definitely hollow. There has to be a way into that somewhere.
I'm gonna start heading over there and basically just start tapping on stone and stuff.
Sure.
Just putting aside all like religious convention, just start like using my hands.
You said that as we were going through, Gary and I ended up on the top of the ziggurat.
Yes, yep. I put you up there just kind of as part of your exploration. You can make your way anywhere on it that you'd like, but yeah, at some point you're definitely on top.
There's no visible doorway or window in any of the side walls. Is there any iconography on the paved stone beneath us?
You can definitely make another investigation check with advantage because you definitely know there has to be a way in. But before you do, the Genesi, who have been singing and dancing with song, that one that approached you kind of pauses to look at the rest of you. Looks at Song. Why are they not taking part? This is a holy place. It is wrong for them to be poking about so much.
Oh, I apologize. We, as I said, we're all strangers to this place, and we don't know any of the customs, and we have our own ways of showing reverence to a place, laying our hands upon holy things and allowing some of that grace to flow into us.
The most beautifully eloquent bullshit I've heard all season long.
I'm not even going to have you roll for it. He buys it. You can tell, however, that he is losing patience, but you've definitely bought them some more time. That investigation check, Captain White, or I think you were also fishing for a perception instead, weren't you?
If you would allow a perception,
What would that roll be with your perception mod?
it'd be a 23.
As you start poking around at the top of this, you do notice a pattern within the stonework. It looks a lot like a ring transporter is in the top of this temple. And all those screenshots you just shared in the Discord, you didn't screenshot the big ring that's at top of it.
I saw it. I wanted to keep it in character.
But yes, that ring is definitely a ring transporter.
So did we ever figure out how to activate one of these things? Pointing out the transporter. I thought it was just, most of the time we just stood in the center of it and it just activated, but there's also an external way to do it, isn't there?
I'm pretty sure there was like, you had to like have one of the little gold bracers or whatever if you wanted to activate them.
So a Harakesh will activate it. Also,
That word that he said that I definitely understood.
Also, a lot of times there is a panel that will activate it on the inside rather than the outside. So typically you have to have a Harakesh to activate it. However, once you point this out, Gary has activated them from the outside before.
Yeah. Gary's gonna hop up there and get to work, trying to activate this thing quickly as possible, shooting a glance to Song and making sure she's okay. I've got... I don't know if this is relevant. I do have the Xenotech specialist. Let's see. I've gained a broad understanding of various technologies alien to my homeworld. Granted, this is for an R&D encounter, but it reduces the time needed. In addition, I gain advantage on any ability check to understand the function and design of technology when I'm not already familiar. So I guess that wouldn't super be relevant.
But because I don't really use R&D encounters, I'll go ahead and let you have advantage on an engineering check to figure out how to activate this.
Awesome.
A 23. Gary starts fiddling around and actually pops one of these panels, and it looks like stone, but it's very metallic. A lot of Goa'uld technology appears that way, and as you get into the inner workings, you're able to mess with a few of the crystals, and then the ring device begins to hum, and anyone that wants in this boat probably ought to head up to the top, so I know who's going in and who's staying out.
Gary's going to stand up on top of the tower and do the really loud whistle to get Song's kind of attention. And then we'll stand on the top of the temple and like kind of look down at what they're all doing and just and start joining in from like atop of this little thing while looking down at all right, AT, dance party on the roof if you know what I mean. Let's not be late.
I apologize. I know they're being terribly discourteous. I'm going to go have a word with them right now.
I think that would be very wise.
I'm gonna educate my friends real quick.
Let me go yell at them. I'm definitely not joining their hijinks in any way. No, siree.
Doesn't look like they've noticed Enoch just kind of staying back there with his little crank gun.
They're eyeing Enoch, but the thing about people that are celebrating the end of all things is they're not particularly concerned if someone shoots them first.
Fair enough. Am I concerned about Enoch?
Enoch is holding steady.
He's the true villain of these series.
I'm okay with that. I'll hop up here.
Just
Okay.
give him a gesture if I can make eye contact with him. Just hold.
As Song is moving over, Gary starts throwing in some of her own like dance moves into the other ones, just like getting really kind of showy with it. And as Song gets closer, she's like, "All right, yeah, great, we gotta go," and we'll moonwalk back into the ring.
All of you get up there. Gary activates the ring. There's that.
That was an
Sound.
excellent Foley work of that sound effect.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Then there's the buzz as you are pulled down beneath. As far as you can tell, there's no reaction from the Genesi from the outside, and you find yourselves inside a room that slowly brightens with your presence. Around you is the familiar Spartan decorations of the of a Gua'uld laboratory. The stonework appears old. There's tables along the sides. At the far end of the room is what is definitely a sarcophagus. Sits a few computer panels. That's a general summary of what you see.
Can we figure out? This is in character, Gary. Can we take a gander around, see whose sweet digs these are? Though I'm pretty sure that our helpful dance squad out there just gave me all the pieces that I needed.
What exactly did you piece together out there?
Well, he said the serpent returned with his troops, didn't he? Couldn't figure out why
I guess so.
All right, so let's talk about it. They came in here, went here, retrieved someone, and left. I couldn't figure out why Basilisk would want to retrieve someone from here and left. That's definitely a Gua'uld sarcophagus, right? So they
Okay.
definitely took a Gua'uld with them.
Serpent came back for the lamb.
The serpent came back for the lamb. One of those.
So, who's
One
the
of-
serpent?
Is the
I got a
serpent
hunch.
Basilisk?
No,
Or someone they have already?
I think when I left that group, we were abandoning that collapsing ship. Song, you weren't there for it. One of my former colleagues had a very interesting and direct threat, which was uncharacteristic for the way that they had previously interacted. It was threatening. It was violent. It was all-encompassing. It stuck with me. I reported it to the general due to the severity of the language and the extreme difference that was there. Gary kind of sits there for a second. Oppose me, and there's no place, no world, no galaxy, no universe that you or any of these underlings can run to where you will not be hunted down and removed from existence. Now, if that ain't some Gua'uld bullshit, then I don't know what it is. I didn't realize it at the time. I was in a bit of a rush. But now
Is
it's
that
starting
the
to make
one that-
sense.
Is that the one that you reported as a Tok'ra?
Certainly was. Talos. Couldn't have been... I don't think it was Doc Martin. That guy's too much of a show-off. I don't think it was my Unos friend. He was ruthless when it came to the dispatching of the Gua'uld. So, it seems, and Gary's gonna walk up to the sarcophagus to check and see if it's empty. It seems like Era has come back for his little girlfriend.
So the story shared with you, the DM forgot to copy and paste the last part of, which made me feel ridiculous. So I fixed that. If you want to look at the handout to see the rest of the song translation that I thought was in the handout and was not. Damn it, sorry.
All good.
As for answering the question, you approach the sarcophagus. As you get near, the imagery on the sarcophagus is that of the sheep that you saw outside. And when you open it, it is indeed empty.
Gary's going to turn back to the group. All right. So, we got a Goa'uld couple running around town. Wepawet is not their friend, it seems. The jackal here. Hence why Basilisk was so... shit. As Gary puts 2 and 2 together, remembering there was a moment when we were on a planet where Talos was left unattended and viciously ripped apart 2 Jaffa of Wepawet. And she'll just kind of pause. Yeah, seems like Basilisk no likes Wepawet, so that explains it. Wepawet's been working in odds with, at times against, I'm not certain. But whatever's happened here has happened. There's nothing we can do for it. We got a dying Goa'uld back there. I say let him die. We gotta try and shut down whatever the hell's in that volcano. If anybody thinks I'm gonna sit here and let Talos beat me, there ain't no way in hell.
Well, obviously not, but we have to consider this in Lil, as we're assuming that's what his name is. If he created this, what we're also assuming is a biological weapon, then he would probably know how to shut off whatever is pumping it out or disperse it. Which it's not me doubting either of your guys' capabilities. There's also, we can take that into account. He also probably knows a lot more about these 2 Goa'uld than we do.
To be honest, the thing that comes to mind first is bringing a sarcophagus back to him and holding it tauntingly out of his reach while we tell him to tell us everything, or else we don't let him survive. I don't know if that's a terrible plan.
Damn, you are cruel, but that depends on how prideful he is.
He's
Gary
very
is
prideful.
just grinning at Song from across the room.
I can tell you he's very prideful.
Then there's a pretty decent odds if he was in cahoots with these 2 that he would just let it all burn and tell us to go fuck ourselves.
You got something else a Goa'uld would want? We would need leverage on a cosmic level. Song did a pretty good job playing the flattery card last time. They might buy into that. Far be it for me to want to save a Goa'uld, though.
He wanted another host.
Song, that's a funny joke, really? But I'm gonna need you to stop right there.
I'm not implying anything. You just asked what else he wanted, and that was the thing he said.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't he also almost pretty much past the point of no return? Could he transfer to another host without dying?
He asked for the sarcophagus, specifically. AT, how familiar are you with... Well, that's a dumb question. You could take a look at this Goa'uld and a current host and determine how close to life and death they are?
Well, certainly.
Okay. All right. What about this? The immediate plan is going to be getting the sarcophagus out of here and past our little dance revolution happening outside. We can do that. We can get the sarcophagus back. Sazu can strong arm that piece of shit. And AT can go with them. White, maybe you and I can make our way up to the volcano itself. Start trying to piece it together. Our comms should be able to accommodate the gap. We can get a head start on the way up there. My concern is if we're on a timetable, I'd rather be able to get up there and do what I can than be 3 days out and not be able to. I also don't think I can respectfully be in the same camp as a ghoul that's getting put back together, should that be the thing that ends up happening. What do we think?
What's the plan?
So the question is whether do we split up or
I think-
stay with it and hope that we can get back in time.
I think divide and conquer might be our option here. If we can get you two out and headed back with this thing, you can see if you can't sweet talk that Gould into cooperating. My concern with that is initially firepower, but is 1 gold and you are both trained soldiers. Not to mention the veritable army of archeologists. But if you guys head back, then that means that Gary and I can see if anything was wiped from here. How you said that there were computers in this room, right? HP. Are they modern computers or is this like old tech?
Computers is the shorthand for what the Ghoul will use. You
Okay.
equate them with computers.
Unless it might be easier for Troy to access some of that. And we can get a quick read while we disconnect the sarcophagus and get it moving. Make sure that we're covering our bases here before we move up the mountain.
I'm happy to try and get information here, but and I think that's advisable. We should absolutely do that. But we need to AT
Move
song
quickly.
And any thoughts, preferences?
I think I'm with White. I think it's probably best if we do split up.
Gary will nod and is going to move over to the computers to try and bring them online and see what information we can gather from them.
Sure. Interacting with Ghoul computers works best for those with Naquita that's in their veins. So the best person for the job is Troy. You have found ways around that with some difficulty.
Mm-hmm. Could I assist then?
Yep, you can assist. And if Troy would like to make a investigation or a science check, or maybe one that you'd like to recommend, those are the ones that come to mind for me.
Big oof. That's a 16, but you said, I mean, that's still with it, even if you gave me advantage.
Yeah, that's with
it'd be
advantage.
16.
So you're able to access the computer. It seems as though a not insignificant portion of the database is missing. And as you're looking around, you definitely recognize where... so the Goa'uld often make use of small stone tablets where they can read the contents. You definitely see a place where one of those stone tablets is gone, along with the stone used to read them. And it seems like a not insignificant amount of the database probably went with it. What you're able to piece together is that Mamitu has been experimenting on the people on this planet for a very, very long time. It appears as though she's found a way to take a human and use them as an incubator for her young. And you're able to piece together that she's talking about the development of Jaffa. The ability to make Jaffa, being something that she had been experimenting with millennia ago. There's not too much else in here with that 16 that you're able to come up with, but yeah, you piece together that was her goal and her research, and everyone else is able to get the sarcophagus moving and underneath the ring transport.
What's our
Song,
plan?
I hope you got some good bullshit for this.
And it's not much, but it's a start.
Actually, we might not need to go out the way we came in. But could we maybe have our trigger happy friend bring it down and around the other side of this, take it out the back? Not need to take it past the flash mob outside.
Clarity
Yes.
question for this map. Is this
Yep.
ridge line on the left a waterfall?
Not a big enough one to be an obstacle. So to answer the question, yes, it is viable for that to go around to the backside. And will make this a lot easier than trying to get past them with the sarcophagus.
True.
So
we
you
could-
ring up with the sarcophagus in tow?
Mhm.
Or is someone going to go up alone first and try and signal to Enoch?
Song and I can maybe, we can distract, we can talk to them, talk about the error of our ways, and go retrieve our ride, take it down and around if you guys want to meet us around the backside.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I think that if we, I think that they were quite ready for us to leave. So if we just went and got Enoch and the boat, I don't think anybody will bother us.
Excellent. All right, that's fine.
Depends on how much they consider this a sacred relic, I guess.
Well, I mean, don't let them see you carrying it. But yeah.
Gary's nodding and starts kind of walking down the pyramid next to Song. And as they walk, she's gonna kind of tilt her head to the side. I have a meaning to ask you there, Sazu.
Yeah.
Most people like to lean into their innate traits. Take myself. I've always had a hankering, a knack with tiny parts and how they fit together. You don't really seem like that much of a people person for someone who's gone into talking to multitudes of people and exchanging ideas.
What do you mean?
Well, you seem a little shy for a diplomat.
I find it useful to seem unthreatening to most people.
Gary put a hand up and just grins. Oh yeah. I like you, Song.
I like you too, as it turns out.
Gary laughs. And continues to go retrieve the boat.
Yep. The two of you make it over to Enoch, who has his short rifle absolutely ready to use, but is quite uncertain. He sees you coming and lifts a hand. The group of revelers continue in their act of worship. They didn't seem to turn around and pay attention to where you went. You're able to get on the boat and direct Enoch to head around to the back. What I would like to happen is I would like a stealth check with advantage from the group moving the sarcophagus.
It's a crit.
And that is a natural 20 to help move this sarcophagus down the way quietly. Dr. Troy stumbles a little bit, but Tommy's able to put a hand on his shoulder and calm him and still him. The boat makes its way around back. You're able to get the sarcophagus on the boat. And then the plan's to circle around and go back to camp, correct?
I believe so.
Or split up, rather, I should say.
Yeah.
So Enoch will take the two of you to shore who are going to the mountain. Say,
I believe that's Gary and White. Or am I wrong?
Yep.
Okay.
he'll drop you two off and he'll say it. You can see it. Just make sure you don't get lost out there. It's about 2.5 days from here. Be careful. There's not much to be afraid of in the jungle with the Genesi here.
Gary nods and shoulders the pack that she's got of the stuff to get us where we need to go. She'll look at AT and give a nod, and she'll look at Song. Give him hell, Lieutenant.
Altan looks very concerned between Sazu and Gary.
Because the shorter trip is the one back to the archaeologist camp, it's still a half day back. Realistically, it's not like you spent more than, an hour or so at this temple. So I'll say that you get back at the end of the day. The sun is set, but Enoch knows the waters well and is able to navigate the river back around, circle around, and get you where you need to go without a huge amount of difficulty. You're able at the end of this second day to arrive back at camp with the sarcophagus. As soon as you come up on shore, the two of you going back, Ningal meets you down at the water's edge. What is that?
It's an important piece of equipment that I would love to tell you where we got it, but I feel like you don't want to know.
I think it's probably best that way.
Just know that it's important to what we're doing, and we're going to find some very important answers with it.
That's good. Well, it's dark now. You going to do that now or in the morning?
I think that's up to Dr. Song.
Well, we came across a group of Genesi up there, and they think that the end of the world that they're celebrating is closer to 7 days away than 2 days away. So we have some time.
It's only mildly comforting.
Would it help if we found things out sooner?
I'm just making an observation, I guess. Well, get some
I'd
rest.
I'd like to at least see your prisoner real quick. I think time might be of the essence, at least on that matter.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. And you're escorted to the tent where the prisoner is kept. The tent flap is pulled aside, and you see this figure. It doesn't necessarily look old, but you, as a Tok'ra and knowing how symbiotes function, when this Gould lifts his head and his eyes just barely flicker, you right away get a sense of impending death within days rather than weeks.
You don't have long, I can tell. So what are you hiding?
I have the time I need. For what I need is already begun.
Interesting. Sazu, are you with me?
probably like outside, just sort of listening but not showing myself.
He'll he'll kneel down and speak to him and simply say, now, why would you want us to go get your sarcophagus if you already think you have everything you need?
You can tell by the look in his face that, yeah, it probably was a lot of gold bullshitting.
You know, there's a strength in understanding, well, when you're caught. Something tells me that you think you have plenty of time. But Lord knows that my companions are going to make sure you don't. And we're not going to let you die until we find out the information that you have, but doesn't mean it has to be easy. I will see you tomorrow. And I'll just leave him there. And go connect with Sazu again and just to confirm that like he has. I mean, if it's going to take another 2 or 3 days to get to the mountain, another 2 or 3 days to get back, he's either going to be on his deathbed or might be dead already. And I'll radio that back up to the other team and let them know that he is not looking too good.
Speaking of the team in the jungle, go ahead and give me a survival check.
Oh boy.
Oh no, I got plus
Oh,
0.
boy.
Here we go.
+1 maybe.
A 10 and a
That's a
5.
5.
So the two of you make your way into the jungle, and the day starts to pass. It grows hot and humid. It's uncomfortable walking. You have a general sense of where you need to go and should be going. And you start making progress. You don't know how much progress. It doesn't feel great. But, you know, you think maybe you get to the end of the day closer than where you started. So at least there's that.
Well, we haven't gotten completely lost, so there's that.
Yeah. Gary, as Gary's kind of slogging through it, she'll make a comment on, you know, not being super great with organic material. If it's metal or needs to be programmed, that's fine, but grass and leaves are just...
As a branch hits her right in the face.
Yep, exactly. And then as Altan kind of radios over, you'll just like the crackle of like the talkie coming through and like the bzzz of like mosquitoes everywhere. Gary will just come across and say, calling the bluff is a good idea. You have my unmitigated support.
Sazu, do you think you'll be ready with whatever you're planning tomorrow?
As long as I know what it is exactly that we're trying to figure out.
Are you guys doing that over the comms or just between the two of you?
Probably over
I
the
think
comms.
over the comms makes so
Yeah.
much sense.
Gary will kind of pipe in. If you could get him to monologue about where the off switch is, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, I can try to do that. But, you know, more big picture information? Are there any pieces that we're missing?
Yeah, what is Talos, Era's ultimate goal and ambition. So he's got his gal. But what does that mean now? With Ra being the enemy he faced before and Ra being no more, my guess is that he's got some sort of hankering for, I don't know, universal domination. Where would he start?
I mean, the song said he wanted to fly.
Fly where? Exactly. Because it also said the lamb didn't.
Do you think that's why he came back for her?
I think she got stuck here. And he got stuck somewhere else. I don't know.
Maybe he'll know more?
Maybe he'll know more what the hell Era wants to do. If you can, too, maybe radio back to Phoenix Base through the gate. Let them know what we've got going on so we can keep an eye out for any new activity. We now know that at least
Sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. You're all right, White. We also know that there's at least a chapter of Basilisk that is operating against the perceived idea behind the group. It's possible that we've completely misunderstood this enemy. You were saying something, White?
This is an out of character question. So, with the handout that you gave us, the only thing that we got translation wise was up until now a new chapter is written.
Yeah, that's
or
from
did
the
we
song.
get all of it?
We'll say, yeah, you end up with all of it.
Home guy that was talking kind of gave us the last bit about the
Yeah.
people
Yeah,
coming.
he gave the last bit vocally. I just didn't copy and paste it correctly.
So
Oh, go ahead.
and this is just kind of thinking aloud, and the way I'm interpreting it is if we know that the lamb, I forgot her name already, was experimenting on finding incubators for her young, creating Jaffa. Were the serpent and the lamb the original? Were they? If he wanted to reach out, was she creating his army?
Could be. We've got these Genasi folks who are real excited about that little black rain cloud on the horizon. They seem to think that they'll be all right. If that experimentation was happening here, it's possible that those people are somehow inoculated in some way, some fashion. If we can find a way to help protect the Bedu, that would be ideal.
I'm
No, I
not
think
necessarily sure that's the case, though.
Yeah, I think
might
the
not be.
Genesi are preparing to die, but they think they're going to some glorious afterlife.
I think that's probably accurate as well. But if there's any information we can get from our little sick friend there about how to protect the people here, even if that just means starting to evacuate them through the gate, that's probably something we should try to ascertain as well. And anything else you can think of, Song, I trust your judgment.
Thank you.
Hey Altan, were you just real rough with that medical check? Maybe like, I don't know, poke him in the kidneys a few times?
I certainly can if you want me to, but no, it's more intuitive than that. He has a week tops.
Just enough time to watch his handiwork come to fruition.
Right. Well, square away what you need to square away. White and I'll continue to make our way up to the mountain. Just join us when you can.
Will do. Should I work on, attempting to fix the sarcophagus?
So, for clarity, his sarcophagus is broken.
This one's
Yes.
not
This
broken.
is the lamb's sarcophagus.
Oh, gotcha.
And this one is not broken. So he's
Yep.
not the lamb.
Yep. Okay. Gotcha.
He
So-
seems to think that that these are interchangeable, as Sazu like sort of pokes the sarcophagus a little bit. Is that right?
My understanding is that anything, anyone can use a sarcophagus. Has incredible healing properties, and regenerative miracle. I would recommend, if at all possible, to refrain from interacting with him until we have the information that we need. He doesn't have any gold tech on him, so you should be all right, but I would alert the other folks around just to keep a keen eye. And I would recommend we don't let him use that until we're able to shut this off. If he's got a week, that's great. And he's got a week to wait for us to get this taken care of before we get him sorted. If he's a gold of his word, then there should be no problem. But I kind of like the idea of him dying with that sarcophagus just out of reach in case he tries to screw us over.
Well, if that's what ends up happening, I will tell you all about it.
I'm looking forward to it.
As the overcomms conversation comes to an end, night settles in, and your third day on the planet comes with the rising sun. Those who were doing the studying, both Captain White and Dr. Troy, as you take a glance toward the mountain, there is a notable increase in how much is coming out. And as that smog rises, it also appears that it has begun to fall back down to the earth. Or not the earth, back to the land of this planet. Still, without taking the time to do some research, you can't say how long, but it's definitely progressing. Let's have a survival check from those in the jungle.
Come on, baby.
We're rocking tonight.
Yeah, you could do.
You
That's a
are
3.
barely holding on to not getting lost.
We've got that string of black smoke keeping us steady.
The only thing that is keeping you on track is the ability to see that, and 10 is the limit for this. So that 10 is what has kept you on track at normal pace. So you're able to make what appears to be normal progress.
I have a
The two of you back at
question
the... Yeah, go
in
ahead.
regards to the black smoke. Sorry. But I imagine they would probably have more of a view of it with equipment, but as it's coming, was there any actual foliage coming up the side of the mountain?
It has not yet reached a point where you can see it interacting with foliage.
Okay.
It's coming out of a smokestack, going up into the sky, and then it has started to fall back down.
Gotcha. Okay.
You suspect that in a couple days it will start interacting with foliage.
Okay. So about the time we make it to the mountain is when we need to start worrying.
Depends on how much worse your rolls get for survival.
One can hope.
Sorry, I've got some catching up to do. Yes. So back to those at the camp. You have this Gwawuld who has information. You have a means of bribing him to get the information. You just need to figure out what he wants, which you already know, the sarcophagus. So you suspect that with some leverage, you might get some of the answers that's needed. So it's back to camp. with you two, with the sarcophagus and the prisoner. How are you planning to approach him?
First, because it's after the long rest, I'm going to re-inspire everybody. I hope that this is something that I can also do over comms to give White and Gary some temporary HP as well.
Do we just get a motivational pep talk?
Yes. A very
Rules as
short.
written, no, but rules as intended is exactly the same because you're giving them a pep talk, so they can have it.
Okay, so everybody gets 2 temporary hit points. It replaces the 5 from yesterday.
Sounds good.
And then just gonna turn to Dr. Troy and say, just so I know in advance, if we hold this within his view, he can't just like shoot out of his host, right?
Pretty positive as Nick, that's definitely false, but I don't really know.
So, a healthy Gould can abandon their host whenever they want to go for a new host.
Okay.
Dr. Troy would know that as sick and old as this Goa'uld is,
If it
If it
wormed its
leaves
way
the
out of the
host,
body, it'll
they're
probably
both gonna
die
die.
instantly. Okay.
Yep.
I think, and then so Altan will reply, I'm pretty positive that that particular symbiote needs that body just as much as it needs it. You shouldn't have a problem.
Okay, but how tauntingly close do you think we could put it?
As close as you want.
Okay.
in order to be healed, the Goa'uld would have to lay in the sarcophagus.
Literally have to get
probably about half
inside
day.
the
Gotta
sarcophagus.
get inside of it and turn it on. Like a back to tank to jump IPs.
Mm-hmm. All right. Also, how big is this thing? Is this like something that the 2 of us can carry comfortably?
They levitate. You just kind of push them along. They move
All
very
right.
slowly, but yeah.
This is extremely convenient.
They really are. They're like 8 feet long. They're huge, but they levitate. They just move really slow.
Okay.
That is, as long as they're working.
Yes, as long as they're working.
Have we tested to see whether this one actually works? Because if it doesn't actually work, then that would be hilarious.
Oh, you opened it and you've already used it to move it around.
Basically, if it can float, it will work.
If it can
Prob-
float, it will work. You have no reason to suspect it would not, and that would be a great way for me to add 2 hours to a game. So, no, this is going to work.
Okay. So I think just like in attitude of respectful homage, pushing this thing along into the tent, as if she's about to just offer it up. But then Sazu stops with the sarcophagus probably about 2 feet away from Zakum.
I hit the wrong button, so I sound bad when I say this. There we go. Zakum, this messenger, looks up as you enter the tent, sees the sarcophagus, and his eyes flare, finding the strength to illumine them more.
I see you brought what I need, my future servant.
I have.
Assist me.
And he
No.
lifts up a hand.
No.
No. You defy me?
I respectfully request more information before I help you.
And what would you want to know to hold this over my head?
How to stopper your breath.
That would be a trade, wouldn't it? My life for this of the planet. Curious. I had suspected given your companion before, that your reverence might not be sincere. I will admit to a moment of weakness, perhaps even hope. But that is a difficult bargain.
I have respect for you as you are, but I do not swear myself to beings I do not fully understand.
What is there to understand? I am a god, and you are not. Your lack of understanding comes with your position in this universe. I suggest you grow used to it.
Oh, I am quite used to it. But I also seek to understand more. So, a trade. Your life for the life of this world. And also, there's some gossip. Intriguing gossip that I've heard about some of your compatriots that I would like to hear more about.
Roll me persuasion.
Ooh, 14.
Wait, you have a +2. You have a +2 there, Kaya.
I do have a +2. I'm also wondering, did I use the advantage that somebody in chat kindly gave me earlier today?
I haven't seen you use it. I haven't heard you use it.
You haven't said that you've used it, so
I don't keep track, but also we are sitting on 2 good tables, and the good tables are instant successes.
yeah.
So you could always just use a good table.
Go wild.
You guys think this is worth it?
I think it's worth it.
We'll use one here, and we'll use one at the top of the mountain, basically.
That is a way that you could end the adventure. I'm not kidding.
Let's use a good table.
Sounds good. The Gould kind of looks at you thoughtfully. He looks about at the sarcophagus and back down at his own hands, turning them over.
My life is more important than the deaths of those of this world. I shall grant you access to the mountain on the condition that I am healed and given access to the Shopper Eye. That is my bargain. Or we can speak again tomorrow.
Give us access to the mountain first.
You would have me give up that piece of leverage. Risking that your friends turn off my device. You can have your way in, so long as I leave this world through the Shopper Eye.
A whisper in Sazu's ear. Perhaps we make some sort of arrangement, or I mean, if we're going to try to trick him, I can try to do some mechanical work with the DHD, or we can get as simple as we choose where you go.
Is it possible to respond through the comms without Zakum and his passenger
I
hearing?
mean, we can just
what I'm
walk.
saying?
We
You
can
just
step out
walk
of the
away.
room.
He's locked
Okay.
up. You can walk
Yeah.
away.
Okay.
We're gonna step outside for a bit.
That's fine.
We're gonna converse.
Still leaving this thing tauntingly right in front of him. Hopefully we don't come back to see that, he's somehow like wiggled his way, over to it. But yeah, little ways away. I have to admit, I was kind of wondering whether we could put him into the sarcophagus as agreed and then push him through the Stargate into empty space. Does that work?
It means that we would have to leverage the fact that, or just be vague about how or when or where he goes into the Stargate. He will leave this planet. We have to be very careful how we phrase it.
This is on comms, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, if you're putting him in a box and he doesn't know where he's being shipped to, just ship him to the Phoenix base. Send a signal through, let him know.
Is that a good idea?
And I'm sure there's containment issues or centers there.
We should probably send a message through and let them know this might be happening.
Just come back to base and make sure that they know.
He's
can
going to
make-
have to be in the sarcophagus at least a half day, if not longer. So
Gives us plenty of time to get him through and get him set up.
and we won't be breaking our word.
No?
Yeah.
Give us more access to gold information. Might bump us up a couple Phoenix teams, if you know what I mean.
I'm perfectly willing to do this if we're all agreed.
No objection.
White, you
Go for
alright
it,
with that?
Lieutenant? Go for it, Lieutenant.
Okay.
I'll send word back to base and start prepping the sarcophagus. And
Okay.
he gives us what? Access to the mountain, or completely reverses his plans? Both?
I'll see what I can get out of him.
Good luck.
Thanks. Back into the tent.
His eyes turn back up towards you.
Access to the mountain first. And then you will have access to what you desire, and my word that you will leave this planet.
If you're using
not
voice
coming
mod, it's
through
not
yet.
working.
We can't hear you at all there.
We can't hear
Ian.
you.
Like, not at all, not at all.
It crashed, so I'll switch to this microphone. You should hear me fine, and we just won't have the voice anymore.
No.
In his voice, he will say, "I will offer you this. I will program the sarcophagus to give you the password into the mountain, so long as my vitals stabilize." The end of the regeneration. It will display there. He gestures toward the side of the sarcophagus where there is a panel. that agreeable?
Yes.
Then let us be done with this. He lifts his hands for the chains to be taken off.
Don't think we agreed to that.
I can't program the sarcophagus otherwise.
Who says we need him to? Fine. I'm not in the room, so I'm not actually here to say anything.
Yeah. I will, with great mistrust, allow his hands to be unchained.
Also,
He
that's a
d-
lie. He could definitely program shit with his hands tied.
He does as agreed. It is a good table success. It was just bargaining for how much success.
That's valid.
He sends a few commands into the sarcophagus. A panel on the side changes to gold numbering that you recognize. The sarcophagus opens. Before he steps in, he says, "Once I am well, it will display there." And you have no reason to disbelieve him. There's a good table. I'm not trying to trick you as the DM. Everyone gets what they want.
Okay.
He lays down within. The sarcophagus closes around him. And the timer starts going.
How much time is on the timer?
Takes about a half day for him to get better.
Since Altan doesn't really need a lot of as much rest as everyone else, he'll sit up and wait for the timer to finish so that Sazu can get some rest.
Sazu is actually going to approach Dr. Troy and say, maybe we should just push this through to Phoenix Base now, and they can send us back the information when they read it.
That works for me. And I'll go start prepping some communications back to base.
Yep. In the couple hours in the interim, while he is healing, while the two in the jungle are still flailing about, just barely not getting lost, you do arrange to send the sarcophagus back to Phoenix Base, where it is received. It is locked away, and they await patiently to see what is displayed. The day passes, and it goes to this third day of arriving, so long as the two don't get lost on their way toward the mountain. So the two
Cool.
in the jungle, go ahead and roll survival. If you get 10 or more, you make it today. If you get less, you get there tomorrow, a day late. A 9 and a 7.
I'm so upset.
Man.
Is there
Man.
anyone left in chat with some love?
I know. Can we please just give Tomi +2 or advantage? Save us. She crit. She crit.
Listen. If you give me an advantage, my roll was a crit.
For the love of God and all things holy.
Well, we gave them time, and chat says no.
True. It's
It's a
true.
shame. I have so many points. Anyway.
GM
Disadvantage.
choice.
Disadvantage.
Ah,
Advantage. Advantage. Advantage.
there it is. Take the advantage. Have the natural 20 because this, and I like that because this is the third time that Meg has gotten a natural 20 at a relevant and amusing time. I love it. So, getting the advantage from the wonderful gift from chat.
Thank you.
So if you had disadvantage and an advantage, does that mean one of you is really struggling on that last day? And the other
Yeah, I'll
is
take
totally
that
fine?
disadvantage. I'll take that 4 over that 7. Gary's essentially
Gary's just-
dragging herself through the mud.
Dehydrated.
She
and-
lived in a sewer for some amount of time, but even that had walls.
Gary's just hallucinating at the top of this mountain.
There's
You
a
make your way.
rope tied between the two of us so that Gary doesn't get lost.
At one point, Gary just looks at Tomi, like just kind of like apologetically, and shrugs. And goes, I'm sorry there, White. I'm an indoor human. So they continue on.
Gary wraps himself around a tree at least once, even though they're tied together.
Yeah.
Or herself, sorry.
Mhm.
You make your way up the side of the mountain. About halfway through the day, the message is relayed from Phoenix site that there is a passcode, alphanumeric code, that displayed on the side of the sarcophagus when it opened. And an incredibly upset Goa'uld is currently in Phoenix custody. You make your way
Well
up
done,
to
team.
you make your way up to the door on the side of this mountain. When you get there, you can see better what the UAV picked up, even with the enhancements. There is an image of the winged serpent. There's the image of the lamb. There is the supplicant ox. There is also, pouring down from above, that smog is getting close to the top of the mountain as it begins to rain down a bit. And the few droplets that do land immediately begin withering any plant life beneath it. Very, very much so like what you saw happen in on the conservatory planet. In fact, you recognize the smog as the same smog.
Well, shit.
Without much difficulty. A panel on the side accepts the code that you entered. The door opens, lights slowly come on, and around you is what you only describe as a small factory. There is a tank of water off to one side, mixing with another chemical, getting pushed toward the back. It's noisy, it's loud. There's the pumping sound going throughout it. At some point, that clear water is mixed in. It becomes like this black tar sent to the back and sent up through a pipe that goes out the top. You are in the midst of a mechanical bioweapon, pumping smog up into the atmosphere.
So just as a note, as we were going through this day, it got to a point where, yeah, okay, we're going to reach the point where smog is going to start hitting the ground. Tomi would have had them stop to actually put on like hazmat gear or whatever bio gear they have with them, because that was something that he had requested. So that, hey, if we fuck up in this factory, well, you know what? Hopefully this will protect us.
And as a matter of fact, because of some of the things that were found throughout this season, the biogear has been upgraded specifically to something resistant to this stuff.
Let's pay off.
You make your way in, find all the pumps. Gary, what's the plan?
She's gonna take a gander, looking at the mechanics of it, trying to ascertain. All right, so all we need to do is disconnect the fuel line, right, for this thing. It's got to be drawing power from somewhere. If she can't turn it off, she can at least rob the materials that are being pumped out, so it's just not pumping out anything. So first goal would be to cut the power. If I can't do that, cut the supply line.
I can have you roll, or you can use the last good table to turn this thing off.
I would like to use the good table to turn this thing off. I like the narrative of Gary. Gary just kind of walks in and starts looking around things and starts kind of over the top of the machines yelling to White. See, the thing about Goa'uld tech is that they think they're so smart. They think they figured out one clever thing and that no one else will ever figure it out. And she kind of walks around and starts like just disconnecting things. But that's the problem. When you use the same solution over and over again, if somebody learns half of it, you're hosed. And as she does that, she just rips a hose from something and the entire thing just shuts down. And she pulls the hose off and starts swinging it as she walks back to it, White. And I only figured out a quarter of it, really.
A quarter of it is enough. Let's see if we can't find something to actually Get it to disperse.
Oh, it disperses.
How does it?
Oh yeah, this is a full get to the mountain, turn off the machine. All these things have been accomplished. The remaining smog
then.
falls, and yes, some of the side of the mountain and the plant life there is melted away, but most of it goes away. The threat of the planet being covered in this deadly smog is no more. And you find yourself with a broken machine, a captured Gould, and I'd say a mission pretty well done. Any thoughts on your way back to the gate and Phoenix Base itself?
Outside of potentially gleaning some information from this factory about what this smog is actually composed of, and if there's a way to disperse it without finding the actual source of the machine, considering we encountered it on another planet.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to pull a Goa'uld data pad, get all the information on there, and closer analysis is perfectly done back at the base.
We can help our tree people friends.
Anything else before you arrive to the gate?
Gary would want to touch base with the archaeologists. Just let them know that, listen, we stopped the end of days. So those jazzercisers are going to be pretty upset when they, wake up tomorrow morning and haven't been, lifted into the heavens or anything. So you might want to buckle down, or maybe take this as an opportunity to broker some kind of a deal. Say you've got an advantage. You know something they don't know.
Ningal, who meets you back at the dig. I can hope that things will be better. That's for all of us to do, I suppose. Thank you, sincerely. We have a long way to go, but for the first time in a while, I feel free again.
That's all right. Just a word of advice. It's not over till you're out of ideas. So just keep thinking.
I'll do my best. Thank you, Gary. Lieutenant Song, Captain White, Dr. Troy. This means the world to us. And that is where we will stop for the evening. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us tonight as we cleaned up a mess left behind by Basilisk. And this one, they didn't even know they left behind. So I guess we can't really blame them for it. But hey, when you take off with a Goa'uld queen, contingency plans get triggered, and well, lesser Goa'ulds tend to show up. So thank you for joining us. We'll take just a couple minutes, not very long, for any comments, questions, concerns, conundrums, or qualms that we should address. If not, then we will say our goodbyes and take off. So before we do that, any thoughts to share, pieces to put together, comments about the lore, or questions about the lore to clear that up before our finale in a couple weeks? I think everything got pieced together, but I'm happy to address it.
I'll just do a quick run through. Once upon a time, there was a Goa'uld who was named Era, and he was the serpent that wished to fly, just wished himself some wings. He found another pretty lady Goa'uld named Mimitu. And together they were like, let's do creepy Goa'uld things. They stood against Ra, and Ra was like, hey bro, you suck. And they're like, yeah, but we got this cool homie named Wapawet who's like a real chill guy. And Wapawet's like, yeah, I'm a real chill guy. Not. And he went to Ra and was like, I hate those guys. I'm jealous of their love or something. And Ra was like, I can help you with that. And he betrayed them. They got separated through space and time and locked away in all the things. Somehow, Era came back and was like, yo, I want my girlfriend and I want my world domination now, please. And he infiltrated Basilisk, taking on the Tok'ra role of Talos. He began to journey the cosmos in a way to find his lady love, constantly being faced with like his bro, now enemy, Wapawet, and gathering intel as he went. And Gary's like motivation now is to figure out what was Talos like getting as we went through those different Basilisk missions to try and like figure out, because when we were on the ship he was after stuff. He picked something, like there were a couple of times where he kind of went off and did his things, so figuring out what those things were and why he needed them to his plan. He eventually made his way back here, took away his lady love and told all the people that the serpent has risen, and with Ra no longer in place, he has a better shot at the title. So we gotta stop him. The end.
I will petition for whoever takes Enlil into custody to just like extract all of the gold gossip from him, just like all of it.
I am certain that you will get the lowdown of the gold gossip, but unfortunately Enlil has been locked away as well, which is why he's gone mad, because his sarcophagus broke. So he doesn't have the good gossip, he just has the old gossip.
Man,
So-
he doesn't
Behind.
have. He has that cold goss. We need that hot goss.
Yep, he's got the cold goss. He's got the old cold goss, but it's the old cold goss that Ra erased from history. So I bet there's all sorts of bits and pieces in there.
I could glean something from that.
You couldn't. As for the plan, also amusingly, so yes, the ziggurat that you were digging in, if you wanted to participate in the digging instead, there was a number going up, and if it reached a certain point, you'd be able to get in there, where you got the you'd get the Deluge mythos, so the story of essentially the same story told a different way. Also, if you hadn't done so well with Enlil, or even didn't learn his name, he also has a secret temple for another temple that would have had some of the answers. So it's very interesting to me as the DM that I built kind of these contingencies in here to try and make sure nothing got missed. And then Second Lieutenant Sazu Song walks in with 30s
Did
and
one of these.
22s and like one of these and then one of those and then one of these, and it's like, yeah, I mean that's
Just
what the
con the
character's
shit out of
for.
this man.
And it is, as the DM, I love it when the characters do exactly what the players hope the characters do, because it's so much fun to roll in and go, you know what, I'm gonna talk them out of this whatever, and then to roll that 30 and feel like a absolute god on the 30. I love that in games. So I enjoy that greatly.
One of these days we're going to get into a gunfight, and then like Lieutenant Song's just going to like huddle and cry in a corner.
Not if Gary has anything to say about it, we won't.
Okay, she'll fire a gun sadly from a corner.
As for Ara and all of that lore, that won't be wrapped up this season. So we're not going to try and figure out how to, in 4 hours max, undo a fledgling empire. Instead, all of this was to see exactly what Osera X wondered. What was Ara collecting? So that determined the position Ara will be in for a second season at some point, which would have been really funny because Enlil, you have effectively stopped Enlil from joining him in that. So that's the sort of kind of successes that might be sometimes hard to see, but sending Enlil back to Phoenix Base was brilliant, and so glad that you sent him there because that is fantastic. As for our finale, we have Wepawet to deal with. So that is the plan for dealing with Wepawet, and well, at least the situation Wepawet's going to force upon you. Wepawet is a gold system lord, so taking him in a straight fight's not really the best of things, but you're not the only one that's been picking away at him in one way or another. So anyway, that is where we're at. Thank you for the amazing summary. I don't see any other thoughts, questions, or comments to bring up, so we will do our sign-offs and goodbyes. So everyone, we'll go around in the same order. Tell people who you are, what you've been doing, what you will be doing, and what you hope will come from the last episode. So that's an extra question I tacked on there. What do you hope will come from the last episode? What does your character want to see happen here as this season comes to a close? So we will go in the same order, starting in the top center with Osera X Franco.
Hi, I'm Osera X Franco. I play Gary Bradford, the engineer. This has been very good. What does Gary hope for the next episode? I think Gary's looking for, like, obviously stopping at least Agold, you know what I mean? Just kind of getting in the way. She does have that personal vendetta of trying to figure out what... vendetta is a strong word. She recognizes that she's uniquely positioned to assist with Talos's ambitions, so she's going to be particularly concerned with that. She would also like to rub her success in a certain somebody's face back at Phoenix Base. Throw a couple of these and get some closure around some old hurt there. But that'll be for next time. If you like my face and the words I say and the things I do sometimes, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter at OseriXFranco, and TikTok, all the places. I do a variety of TTRPG stuffs here on TPK Roleplay and over in other amazing channels, communities as well, one of which rated us tonight, Critical Misses. But you can also find me on Nat20 and Neon Lights Roleplay. The next time you can see me will in fact be tomorrow in a one-shot of The Harpers here on TPK Roleplay. We're going to get into the holiday cheer of things, which will be great. And then we're just going to keep it going, where you can find me on Wednesday over at +1 EXP, playing the Santa Side in a game, the Santa Side Squad. I'll be there with Bright and Noir and Keegan as we try to save Christmas. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing and all the good things. And then after that, we're off for the holidays a little bit, but we have Smash Cut over on Nat20 on the 27th. Power Beyond D&D campaign there on the 28th. Neon Lights Roleplay for After the End. And last time around, the Overture, a gritty retelling of A Curse of Strahd on the 30th and on the 1st to wrap up our little overture before we launch into the actual real deal campaign, which is phenomenal. So lots of really cool things going on. Check them all out, and this is the best.
Continuing around in the upper right, Proper.
Hello, my name is Proper Nerd. I'm a TPK staff member, role player, game master, and designer. My magnum opus right now is A Madness Calls It Forth, a City of Mist campaign based on the Knights of Paintown. We had to skip last episode, but I'm hoping we'll be back in January with our 5th episode. And beyond that, Sarah said one of the nicest things about my game Generational, which you can find on itch. It's a world building game that's completely collaborative. You can also find all the other games made by anyone in the TPK community on itch. Hopefully someone will throw that in the chat soon. And it would mean the world to me if you played it or watched my show. So I hope to see you soon. And for Altan, I don't really know. personally, I haven't really put a lot of work in not work. I haven't put a lot of thought into his symbiote, so maybe we'll see him next time. But maybe that's a later season thing. We'll find out. So have a lovely day. Okay.
Perfect. It's down to Kaya.
Hello, I am Kaya. I have played Lieutenant Sazu Song. I am technically still part of Twice Bitten, a 100% rules as written playthrough of Curse of Strahd, although we are on hiatus until late January. But we have 50 episodes out there if you would like to hear more of my voice. In addition, I am going to be back here on January 2nd, that is a Sunday, for Shadow over Arnor, where I play Celebrion. I am on Twitter as Rahab_Acatriel. I'm not going to try to spell that, where you will also find that I have an itch game coming out very soon on January 7th. It's called Her Odyssey. It is a solo journaling RPG that will allow you to, follow the wanderings of a traveler trying to find a new home or find her lost home, and help you world build and create character backstory at the same time with nothing more than a handful of d4s and a deck of cards. So that I've just announced the release date today. Feel free to follow me if you'd like to hear more about that or any of the other various TTRPG things I do. And as for the finale, Sazu Song really just wants to figure out more of what's going on. She is so clueless, nearly as clueless as I am. So, gonna try to talk her way through some things, try to poke her way through, anything that you can sort of verbally leverage your way through, and hopefully not make things worse. But who knows? Maybe she'll make things worse.
So far, you've been making it real easy on us. So you know what?
And Meg Mysteria.
Hello, everybody. I am Meg Mysteria. Tonight, I played Captain Tomi White. As far as where you can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, as well as itch under Meg Mysteria, of course. I am a game mother for TPK, most notably running my alien RPG campaign, The Hubris of Man. I know on the schedule it says that we have it coming up on Wednesday. Unfortunately, we have had to cancel this week, but we will be back in January. But until then, you can find me as a player in Henshin Agogo, our Sentai Power Ranger campaign, in a couple of weeks, right after our next episode of Stargate Phoenix. And as far as what White wants to see in the finale, bro, can we just go to a planet that has some decent weather? That's all he wants.
You kept this planet from having bad weather. I think that's a victory.
Yes, but we still had to worry about it. I don't want to have to worry about it. Also, getting an actual combat fight in would be neat, but...
Yep. Sorry about that. There was potential for that to happen, and I always try to have potential. It will definitely happen in the finale. So, and I am the last hit point hero. Yes, the weather sub theme was completely accidental and just got really funny as I realized it was in all of it. Completely accidental, had no clue as I was writing these. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can. All my personal stuff is at DM Leech Tweets. All of my game stuff is at Last HP Hero. I am an Oathsworn.
Oathsworn.
Oathsworn. Playing the sometimes sad, sometimes overly happy Siren Sorcerer who doesn't have a god as a dad, but a evil titan as a dad. So that was nice to learn a couple weeks ago, and Threnos is dealing with all that. That is all that I have for me. That is us for this evening. We will see you next time, and until we do, remember, be good. casserole.